This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Midnight Bisou claims her in a stride. Spectator is running a grand race, but 16th to go, and Midnight Bisou with another assertive final furlong. The top filly of the meet deservedly wins the Grade 1 Santa Anita Oaks.
My Miss Sophia, who's got another gear. Plenty left for the final furlong here. And here's Got Lucky on the outside of Sweet Reason, but they're coming down to the finish, and My Miss Sophia, it was just a stroll in the park for her today, and she sails under the wire, an emphatic winner of the Gazelle.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Fossa Ichi Pegasus runs by the front runners, and he's pulling away, and he is pulling away impressively. Red Bullet left behind, Country only third, Aptitude fourth. Fossa Ichi Pegasus will roll into Kentucky as the favorite in the Derby.
And California Chrome is absolutely sensational. California Chrome will be carrying the hopes of California all the way to the Kentucky Derby. He waltzed home under Victor Espinoza.
Tappet Trice is right alongside, has the 16th pole. Tappet Trice puts ahead in front. Tappet Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to the show that launched a network. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, saying welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires, all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock it.
As always, you are listening to the show on Sirius 162, XM 207, along with terrestrial partners and live streaming worldwide on our website at horseracingradio.net. And don't forget, if you miss any portion of today's show, or you just want to catch up on any of your favorite HRN shows that we bring your way every single week throughout the year, we make it really easy for you. They're all available after the live airings via podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You just type in Horse Racing Radio Network, and you can follow along with all of our shows every single week, all year long. Today is April 4th. It's the first Saturday in April, which means the first Saturday in May is just around the corner, 28 days to be exact. The road to the Kentucky Derby, which is now down to the final 4 points races, officially began 203 days ago with the first points race. That was the Iroquois at Churchill back on September 13th. And like most years, that road once again serves as a reminder of just how incredibly difficult it is to earn a spot among those 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby starting gate. The Iroquois was won by the Steve Asmussen-trained Spice Runner, who, by virtue of that win, enjoyed a very short stint at the top of the Derby leaderboard. Spice Runner is not in the picture here on the first Saturday in April. And if you recall, the horse everybody was watching last fall was the eventual 2-year-old champion, Ted Noffey. And unfortunately, due to injury, he is not in the picture here on the first Saturday in April. Then came the budding superstar Paladin. After capturing the Remsen in early December, his stock skyrocketed. And when he won the Risen Star in his 3-year-old debut, trainer Chad Brown's 0-for-9 Kentucky Derby record appeared destined to be a thing of the past. But after injury forced Paladin to the sidelines, out of today's Bluegrass, and then off the Derby trail, he is not in the picture here on the first Saturday in April. It is an incredibly difficult road to navigate. And so much has to go right. Kudos to those who have navigated the windy road to Louisville. And they find themselves, not quite in Louisville yet, but they find themselves in today's final majors, if you will. The Bluegrass, the Wood Memorial, and the Santa Anita Derby. Horses like Napoleon Solo, for example, who won the Champagne in October. We'll see him in the Wood Memorial. Further ado, today's Bluegrass Stakes favorite, who won the Kentucky Jockey Club in November, and today he comes back to the scene of what was maybe his most impressive, or at least his most eye-opening victory when he broke his maiden by 20 lengths at Keeneland. He's back to Keeneland again today with the Bluegrass Stakes. And then you have Intrepido, winner of the American Pharoah last October. He's made it to the Santa Anita Derby this afternoon, so kudos to those horses. But some of the bigger names that we all expected were going to be major players are not, as we sit here 28 days out. And it happens every year. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do. And I've said it many times. I'll say it again here this morning. Just to get a horse to the starting gate for his first career start is a huge accomplishment. Forget about trying to get him to the Kentucky Derby and be just one of 20. You have to have a lot of luck, you have to have a lot of talent, and a lot of things have to go right. My poll question for you this morning: which of the three Kentucky Derby preps this afternoon is the strongest? Is it the Bluegrass? Is it the Wood? Or is it the Santa Anita Derby? You can go to @HRRN on our X page to cast your vote there. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook if you do a Facebook, and you can let me know your thoughts there. Or you can email the show. If you don't do social media, that's cool. Email the show, Mike@horseracingradio.net, and let me know. Is it the Bluegrass? Is it the Wood? Is it the Santa Anita Derby? Speaking of the Bluegrass, we have been celebrating all week long here on the network Tapit Trice Week. Tapit Trice, winner of the Bluegrass in 2023. A Keeneland Sales graduate. This entire week has been presented by Keeneland Sales, so our thanks to them. Later in the show, you're going to hear from Keeneland announcer Kurt Becker. Not only is he the track announcer during the meet, but he was on the stand when Tapit Trice stepped into the ring as a yearling and sold for more than $1 million. So we'll talk to Kurt about that coming up 9 o'clock Eastern. But when you look at the complexion of those three races today, I think automatically you're going to say, well, it has to be the Bluegrass Stakes or the Santa Anita Derby. Because the Wood in recent years hasn't been all that strong. I don't know if that's the case this year. I think each of these races features horses looking to prove that they deserve to be called a contender, a legitimate contender, not just a horse that takes their owners to the Kentucky Derby so they can get a box and say that they were part of the Kentucky Derby. I'm talking about legitimate contenders, the way we expected Ted Noffey and Paladin to be if they could have stayed healthy. The Wood Memorial is a really solid race. I mentioned Napoleon Solo. He's looking for redemption. Now, he needs a big race. He needs to run well today. He drew the inside post. He needs a huge effort. He has early speed. The problem is, especially in the Fountain of Youth last time out, he was unable to carry that speed. He backed up. He finished 5th. Had a bit of an awkward beginning, too. That didn't help. If he breaks well today under Paco Lopez, you expect that Napoleon Solo is going to be out front. There is other speed in this race. The horse just to his outside, Talk to Me Jimmy, the New York bred for Rudy Rodriguez, has a lot of early speed. Went wire to wire to win the Withers by 11 lengths last time out. We know his game. He'll be out front. So Napoleon Solo's mission is to get out of the gate and avoid getting trapped in a speed duel. Avoid having to go too fast so he can finish in the end. Iron Honor for Chad Brown, who is now looking to take Chad to the Kentucky Derby after losing Paladin. Iron Honor, winner of the Gotham last time out, is 2 for 2. Both of his efforts have come in a stalking manner. Got out of the gate, got a good position, pressed the pace, drew off to win. Well, now he has to do it from post 13. No bargain for Chad Brown on that one. He's hoping that the pace gets really hot, but as I mentioned, he has some early speed too. He's going to be in a stalking position. But if Manny Franco is going to try to gun him to the lead from the outside post, that probably isn't going to work. You wouldn't think. So he's going to have to find out today. Chad will find out if Iron Honor can rate and sit off of horses, and how effective he can be finishing doing it that way. Bob Baffert has butane in there, named for pitcher Walker Buehler and his fastball, which they call butane. We'll find out if butane is worthy of being considered a legitimate Kentucky Derby contender this afternoon. You're going to hear, by the way, Chad Brown, Bob Baffert. They're both with this show today. You want Hall of Famers? You want future Hall of Famers? I got it for you. I mentioned a Hall of Fame track announcer, in my opinion, in Kurt Becker at 9 o'clock. You're going to hear from Chad Brown, 9:20 Eastern. 9:40 Eastern, Bob Baffert will join me. And you'll get a chance to hear from him, talking about butane, talking about the Santa Anita Derby, talking about the Santa Anita Oaks. And in just a few minutes after my first break, Hall of Famer Nick Zito is going to be with me. This is the last Wood Memorial that is going to be run at Aqueduct. Of course, next year will be at Belmont Park, the new Belmont Park. And Nick Zito, a New York native who has won the Wood Memorial 3 times. I can't think of anybody better to join me on this Saturday morning to share some memories of the Wood Memorial with me and to look back on those victories. So you'll hear from Nicky coming up in a few minutes. But back to the poll question, and which race appears to be stronger, that Wood Memorial could, won't shock me if so many of you in HRRN Nation vote for the Wood Memorial this year. Class president for Todd Pletcher, now out of the Bluegrass Stakes. He was expected to be right there in the wagering with Further Ado. Not going to happen. Further Ado is now 8-5 on the morning line. That price might go down. Reagan's Honor from Cherie DeVoe comes out of a strong allowance win. Has to prove that wasn't, I won't call it a fluke effort, but has to prove that he can duplicate that performance at a much higher level now, this grade 1 level, against even better horses. You're going to hear from John Ennis, too. John is the trainer of Bluegrass Longshot Great White. Pretty cool story. Won the John Battaglia Memorial on February 21st at Turfway. All 3 of his starts have come on synthetic at Turfway. Now he goes to dirt in the Bluegrass today. Is he capable of pulling off a massive upset? You'll hear from John later in the program as well. So I don't know if the Bluegrass is the race that really, Further Ado is really good. But I don't know if you're going to say, yep, the Bluegrass is the one that is the strongest this year. Maybe it's the Santa Anita Derby. Bob Baffert has won a record 9 Santa Anita Derbies, and if Cherokee Nation or Potente can win today, he'll add to that total and make it 10. I mentioned Intrepido ran a fantastic race in his 3-year-old debut in the Robert B. Lewis. Finished his second, beaten 3/4 of a length that day. Maybe he's the one. So Happy, Mark Glatt, Mike Smith. We were talking about him coming into the San Felipe, ends up finishing 3rd. Gets a rematch with Potente and Robusta, who was 2nd that day. Maybe this is the deepest one. Maybe it's the Santa Anita Derby. But that's my poll question for you this morning. Which is the strongest Kentucky Derby prep this afternoon? The Bluegrass, the Wood, Santa Anita Derby. Let me know your thoughts. I will update the question as we move throughout the show. Time to check in with Lee Delapina. He has this morning's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question.
Thank you, Mike. This week's Impossible Trivia question is brought to you by Mojo Racing Partners, celebrating their 20th anniversary this month. Get your mojo working at mojoracingpartners.com. Now here's a simple one. Not an easy one, but a simple one. Who was the first horse to ever win both the Bluegrass Stakes and the Kentucky Derby? No Googling. We'll give out the answer at the end of the show.
Yep, the answer coming up right around 10:55 Eastern before we wrap things up for you here this morning. Okay, here's your full lineup. Hall of Famer Nick Zito in just a few minutes. Our Kentucky-bred conversation with trainer John Ennis right around 8:35 Eastern. Kurt Becker, 9 o'clock. Chad Brown, 9:20. Bob Baffert, 9:40. Then we dive into hour number 3. That kicks off at 10 o'clock Eastern with Joe Kristufek, who has the TwinSpires Triple play. He'll give you 3 races to watch and wager on at TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and at 10:30 I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans, with Tim Wilkin. We will talk about some of the hottest topics in the sport today. Back with Nick Zito after this on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The 24th season of live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. More than $125,000 in contest prize money spread out over 20 free handicapping contests, including 18 seats to the 2027 NHC Finals. The season is highlighted by the 31st running of the Grade 3 $300,000 Indiana Derby Saturday, July 11th. Live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Look for more info on social media at HS Indy Racing.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day. It's Santa Anita Derby Day here at Santa Anita Park. Watch and wager on top Derby prospects, as at least one of them will go on to represent SoCal in the big Kentucky Derby. The Grade 1 event is the highlight of a tremendous Easter weekend lined up here at the Great Race Place. And we have a plethora of events surrounding that big day, like the Front Runner Buffet, a barbecue in the lounge box seats, a 5K run, a craft beer festival, an elegant celebration in the Chandelier Room, a Santa Anita Derby handicapping contest, and a spring carnival. Then Easter Sunday, we will have an Easter egg hunt in the infield for kids of all ages. You can get all the details and you can purchase advance tickets over at santaanita.com. Santa Anita Park, it's your best bet for world-class entertainment and world-class racing on Easter weekend.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
From between horses, 36 red. Bird Hills on the inside. Champagne for Ashley is third at this point, followed by Pendleton Ridge. In deep stretch, it's 36 red with Mike Smith holding on to the lead by a head. Bird Hills on the inside. It's 36 red, the winner of the Gotham. Winning it with Mike Smith, and the time on the board, 1 minute 50 and 2/5 seconds. Not a good time, but 36 red proved that the win of the Gotham was real, and Champagne for Ashley off the board.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Dave Johnson with the call 36 years ago. 36 red, the Gotham winner, going on to take the Wood Memorial back in 1990. It was the first of 3 Wood Memorial victories for New York native and now Hall of Famer Nick Zito. He came back in 1999, won it with Adonis, and then in 2005, that tremendous performance by Bellamy Road. And Nicky is with me now. I could think of nobody better to talk about the Wood Memorial and the last one being run at Aqueduct than Nick Zito. Nicky, good morning.
Hey, how you been, Mike?
Man, I'm good, brother. How are you?
Well, it's always good to talk to you. You got a tremendous show today. I'm happy about your guest, Chad Brown, and, of course, Bob Baffert. It's incredible. And finish off with Dale and Tim. I mean, amazing. Got it going today, my brother. You got it going.
Starting with the Hall of Famer, Nicky, you saddled over 2,000 winners in your career. I mentioned the Hall of Fame, all of those accolades that have come your way, but 3 Wood Memorial wins. And today, the final one we're going to see run at Aqueduct before it moves to Belmont. It's a special day.
No question. I mean, it's kind of sad in a way because there's nothing like nostalgia. There's nothing like history. There's nothing like, look, I remember now, going way back as a teenager, we used to bring our racing form or our newspaper to get a seat at Aqueduct, if you could believe it, to get a seat.
Wow.
That's how crowded it was. That's how, how great all the great horses ran there. I've seen a million Wood Memorials. Some of the great horses of all time ran there, raced there, and the great horses of all Kelso and the Gumbo matches with Kelso and Dr. Fager's matches with Damascus, and just so much history. And of course, you mentioned Mr. Steinbrenner's. That was what a gift that was in 2005. That was one of the great performances at Aqueduct itself. With Bellany Road. So breaking that record and doing what he did, and it's sad, but it's like everything else. Time goes on, but it's definitely part of the history, a big history. You know that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Nicky, what was it like training for George Steinbrenner?
Well, you gotta sometimes you gotta ask God, like, please God, forgive me for honor and humility. But I had so many great things with George Steinbrenner. One of the things I'm so proud of, when Mr. Steinbrenner died, and I was very friendly. You could ask his daughter Jessica and the people, Kevin, that works for Mr. Steinbrenner. They'll tell you, George, I was his favorite trainer. Period. And no, I'm just not trying to be a jerk, but it's the truth. But I got to tell you, one of the things that I loved being part of Mr. Steinbrenner's life, when he passed, ESPN had a tribute. 20 people were on that show, and we were one of them. We were one of the 20 sports people that they asked about George Steinbrenner. So for me, and I have a World Series ring that he gave me in 1996, which I cherish with my name on it. I had a good relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner. Mr. Steinbrenner, I got to tell you, in 2005 in Bellany Road, he got hurt in that race. Not bad, but he got hurt enough there. He was a solid favorite. But I had a bunch of horses in that race, and George was the one that insisted that I run those other horses because they weren't in his league, but they qualified for the Derby. And he said, no, you got to run them, Nick, because that's a dream come true. Anyone wants to run in the Kentucky Derby. Look how they're fighting today in these 3 preps to get into the Derby. So he was a special guy to me. I know he was George Steinbrenner. He had this, he had that. A lot of people say things when people die and they praise him, but he had his whatever he had. You either rooted for him or you didn't root for him. But come on, he was a special guy. So I was happy when you say what was it like. It was a good journey for me. I got along with him.
Nick, we heard the call of 36 Red winning the Wood Memorial in 1990. I mentioned that was your first win in the race, first of 3. What do you remember about that day?
Well, that was really special because that was taking me to a place called the Kentucky Derby. And that was some experience. Don't forget, 1990, the Derby isn't like it is now. Now it's like the Final Four or the Indy. It was always, the Kentucky Derby, but now it's so, it's an event. You know what I mean? It's the race, number one, but it's the event, number 1A. So we didn't have that. We had the old seats. We had this. We had that. That's 30-something years ago. And that was different. That was a lot of mom and pops ran to the Kentucky Derby. Now it's like a lot of Michael Jordans go to the Kentucky Derby. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
It's a whole different ball game. So I saw it. I was happy to see all of it. And some great changes. Obviously, you saw Churchill Downs is now there wasn't such a comfort place to go. You remember, you were a kid. You remember going to the Derby.
Yeah.
It wasn't such a comfort place. You know what I mean? You get stampede. You would get stampede on there. You could get trampled. But it's an amazing thing. And for me, that was my first, when 36 Red won, all I could think of was I was so excited. Like you talk about a kid in a candy store. And man, and then that was unbelievable. And that was Mike Smith's first grade one. I believe that was my first grade one.
Mm-hmm.
So, or second, whatever it was. But that was Mike's first grade one, 200 later. But
wow.
At the end of the day, just a great time, a great experience. Nothing like the Kentucky Derby. To this day, I mean, it's more maybe, I'm not trying to put anything on it, but I keep emphasizing about the event. It's more of an event. It is the greatest race, greatest 2 minutes in sports still. But the event has a lot to do with it. And Churchill Downs, give them a pat on the back. I mean, they've made it comfortable now for everybody to go. The only thing is, like we used to say in the streets of New York City, you got to have some fazul. You got to have some cash. You got to have a lot of cash in your pocket to go to the Derby.
Well, Nicky, 36 Red takes you there for the first time in 1990. Doesn't win, ends up finishing 9th, but you come back the next year, and this ties into this weekend too. You win your first Kentucky Derby in your second appearance with one of my all-time favorite horses, Strike the Gold. That was 35 years ago. He's still the last horse to win the Bluegrass Stakes and go on and take the Kentucky Derby.
No question, and I root for everybody to say the Bluegrass is special to me. As you know, we were fortunate enough to win 3 of those too. But I don't see his record being tarnished, and I'll tell you why. You got to go past Renegade, and you got to go past Commandment so far. So whoever wins the Bluegrass, and of course you got to run the Santa Anita Derby. I mean, I don't think anyone coming out of the Bluegrass, Further Ado does look solid. I'll tell you who I like in a minute. I'll tell you about Talking in a second. But I got to admit, I don't think they could go past those 2 horses unless somebody comes up with a gigantic race today. You know what I mean, Mike?
Mm-hmm. What do you like about Talking?
Oh, well, first of all, Danny used to work for me. He was my assistant. And to this day, I put him and Frank Allen head and head. But I think Danny was my best for me. Because I still, we're like best friends now. We still get along. Like, I love Danny. I get along great with him. He's got that way about him, which is a lot like me sometimes. So I like it. And I tell you what I love about the horse. So that horse is sneaky good today. I don't think for your bettors out there, for people like to bet, I don't think he'll be out of the money. Further Ado is the horse to beat, no question about it. And you talked about, the Reagan horse with Cherie. That's one of my favorite trainers, too. Cherie DeVal.
Cherie. Yeah.
She's a tremendous trainer. I just think this horse, he ran in a Champagne. He ran well in a Champagne. Danny's been taking his time with him like we did years ago with all our horses. We got to like 25 derbies, I believe, in our career. And what I see about the horses, he ran sneaky good in the Tampa Bay. Now, he missed a workout before the Tampa. And we said, what do you mean he missed it? Well, he was working with one of my horses, and Katie Davis, who I love, messed up the workout. So she went on the wrong gap, something happened, and it was weird. So he was probably not as prepped the right way as he should have been for the Tampa Derby, yet he ran well enough. Now he came back with a really good workout. So I think the horse will not be out of the money. I pick him second, obviously. It's hard to go past that horse. The reason it's hard to go past that horse, they told me years ago there are horses for courses. Michael, the horse won by 20 lengths at Keeneland. That means he likes the track. Further Ado.
Yeah, I would say so.
He broke his maiden by 20 lengths, so he must like the track. But that's my exacta call, and Reagan for third. So there's a triple if anybody wants. I just gave it for free, okay?
Yeah, and by the way, Nick, you got the 26 Kentucky Derbies, not 25.
Oh, okay. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. That's really nice. I appreciate that.
26 Derbies. I got into racing, Nicky, you know this. I got into racing, really got hooked on it in the late 80s. And there was a horse that was trained by Shug McGahee by the name of Easy Goer, who was my first true love. Yep. And he won the Wood in 1989. Yep. Then came like horses like, 36 Red, but then Devil is Due for Alan Jerkins. And there were so many other greats. But tell me about your favorite Wood Memorial winners that weren't trained by Nick Zito.
Well, I think you mentioned one of them. And one of the reasons is also, too, you remember, wait a minute. Am I going too fast? Yeah, Easy Goer won the Wood, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, if you looked at that Gotham, his was devastating. Easy Goer's Gotham was unbelievable, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he was one of my favorite horses, too. So I put him up there. I mean, you got to go back further. I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Northern Dancer win the Wood? I mean, he had so many great horses, am I right? So many great horses won the Wood. You have to go far back. But what I'm saying is the Wood Memorial was one of the most prestigious races in the world. So I would probably say, not, other than Bellany Road that I trained, I would say Easy Goer was my favorite Wood. I think so. I would have to say that, but no question.
Yeah, pretty special.
Great horse. Yeah, great horse. Tremendous
pretty special.
Horse. I'll tell you what happened one time. Mr. Broken, may rest in peace. What do you hear this? So I got this horse called Magic Eagle. We're in Saratoga, 7 furlongs, maiden special race. So this is Wolf who's trying. Of course, the next year, he wound up with 36 red, and that was great. But he was trying, to get to the big races. And so now at Saratoga, I got this horse called Magic Eagle, and it's in a maiden special race. So I run third. This copper penny just flies. So I've been going to the race since I'm 16, So you could ask Dale, we have good memories of races, and Timmy Wilkin tell you the same thing. So this horse just goes right by me, breaks his mate, easy goer. So Mr. Brophy, oh, man, he's down. Oh, man. Oh, I said, you don't understand. If I could say man of war, that's like man of war incarnate, whatever it is. I said, in disguise. So that's how. That was one of the best horses of all time. I'm with you. He's a great favorite. Thanks for bringing that up. But I would say that's my favorite Wood.
Nicky, it's been a long time since a horse has come from the Wood Memorial to win the Derby. We talked about Strike the Gold in 1991, the last horse to win both the Bluegrass and the Derby, but Fusaichi Pegasus, the last to pull it off in the Wood, who won it in 2000 and then took the Derby. It is. I said this at the top of the show, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've never trained a horse, but I think it is so incredibly difficult to get a horse to the starting gate for their first start. Forget about getting them to the Kentucky Derby and being one of 20. How hard is it to get a horse to the Kentucky Derby?
Well, I'll tell you how it is, too. And I'll try to tie this in for the folks out there. As far as why it hasn't a horse, won the Bluegrass and the Kentucky Derby, why hasn't a horse won the Wood? And come back and win the Kentucky Derby. The preps are very hard today. The horses that you like, there's so many horses that have run, let's say, in the Bluegrass and have won the Kentucky Derby. But the last horse to do it was ours, which I'm very proud of, was Strike the Gold, who's like an icon horse now. Most people that are still alive love Strike the Gold because he's kind of was just a cool horse. And the thing about it is that the preps are hard. So you'll see a lot of horses run second in the Bluegrass and win the Kentucky Derby. You'll see a lot of horses. We had one that ran second called Gold for Jim in the Wood and win the Kentucky Derby. They're hard. Their preps are like gigantic races. They're hard races. So it's hard for a horse to repeat that particular race in the Kentucky Derby. And to get a horse to the Derby, I'm going to explain it to you. Like they say, not so fast, Abernathy. Here's the real problem. Michael, you have to have great days. Dale will tell you, he's a trainer, great days. What I mean is, for the people out there that don't understand, is they can't cough. They can't have this. They can't have a bruised foot. They got to have just perfect days of training. And that's another reason. Look at how many horses already have dropped out of the Derby that had chances.
Yeah.
Class president, extremely well-bred, Windstar, trained by a Hall of Famer, Todd Pletcher. Chad Brown, future Hall of Famer. Didn't he have another horse? He's out of the Derby. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, he still has a couple more, but at the end of the day, they drop like flies because you have to have these good days. It's not easy, and that's what that is. That's why I don't blame people that, he just got the points. Like, let's say Talkin runs second today, or he wins for some reason. Well, of course he's going to go to the Derby. But if he runs second, the owners might want to go. You know what I mean? If he sneaks in. See what I mean?
Yep.
Because it's the Kentucky Derby. So it's a hard thing to do, but fascinating, isn't it, when you think about it?
Nicky, you've done it, as I mentioned, 26 times. I would love nothing more than to see you do it a 27th time, my friend. So let's hope it can happen next year.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you something. I know this sounds, whatever. You got to be positive. I truly believe. I don't know if we'll win another one. We should have won with Icebox, I think, or Bellany Road, maybe. But I know one thing. I will definitely. I'm going to give you a Joe Namath prediction for all your fans out there. I don't know if I'm going to win it, but before I leave the earth, I will definitely get back in it. Definitely. I give you Joe Namath prediction. Remember that one?
You heard it. You heard it here, right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Yes,
Nick
did.
Zito going back to the Derby.
Tell Dale Romans maybe I'll be able to take him to dinner.
Nicky, I hope you do it, my friend. I'm your biggest fan. Let's go find a way to get back there, man.
Well, you're a great guy, Mike. And you know what? We had Pete, your mentor. He was a good guy, and I'm so happy that. And by the way, congratulations on your show today. You got Chad and you got Bob Baffert. Holy God, that's pretty darn good, my friend.
And Nick Zito, don't forget about him.
And what about Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin? Can't forget what are those guys, chopped liver?
Nicky, I appreciate it, brother. Enjoy the day.
Okay, Michael.
Really appreciate the time.
God bless you. Thanks, Nick.
Well, you talk about one of racing's good guys. There you go, Nick Zito, right there. And I know he doesn't have the success that he once had. It's not rolling for Nick Zito like it once was. But you just heard him. Joe Namath prediction right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Before he leaves this earth, Nick Zito will get back to the Kentucky Derby. And wouldn't that be great? I always said the Kentucky Derby is better when Wayne Lucas is in it. The Kentucky Derby is better when Bob Baffert is in it. The Kentucky Derby is better when Nick Zito has a horse in the Kentucky Derby. Really appreciate Nicky's time here this morning. Fantastic stuff. Up next, it's your Legends of the Turf. He mentioned my mentor, Pete Coulis. He brings you this segment each and every week. I love to keep him as part of the show. A short commercial break, and then our Kentucky bred conversation. I welcome trainer John Ennis talking about long shot Great White trying to pull off the upset in today's Bluegrass Stakes. That's all next after your Legends of the Turf.
Shortly before 4 p.m. on October 18, 1952, 7 thoroughbreds from around the world answered the call to post for the first ever Laurel International at Laurel Racecourse in suburban Washington, D.C. And there was a solid, noteworthy field on hand to contend for the top honors. Niederlander from Germany had Obi Skurlock in the irons, and he came into the race as the winner of the German Derby of 1950. Indian Hemp from Canada was the only 3-year-old in the race and was therefore in the receipt of £6 from the others while having the services of the redoubtable Johnny Longden in the irons. Will Win, an English Invader by Pink Flower out of Saracen by Donatel II, was to be ridden by Emmanuel Mercer. Zucchero, another English Invader piloted by Cheeky Charlie Smith. Rui from America, and the most highly regarded of the 3 American horses in the field, had the services of Johnny Adams. Greek Ship from the Brookmead stable had Eddie Arcaro up. Later, the Pride of Maryland was the 3rd American entry. John D. Shapiro, the Laurel president who dreamed of the actuality of the race, was about to see his dream unfold. At the start, which went off without a hitch, Zucchero went to the front, but rider Charlie Smith took him back off the pace, allowing Indian Hemp, the Canadian 3-year-old, to go to the front to set the fractions for the first half mile. Johnny Longden, born in Canada and aboard the Canadian Invader, was a noted master at controlling the pace of a race on the front end. And as they went past the half, Greek Ship moved up along the fence to take the lead, and the German champion Niederlander moved with him on the outside to make it a troika up front, dueling for control. Then Greek Ship and Niederlander pulled away from Indian Hemp, and those two were heads apart going to the far turn, matching powerful strides. Greek Ship was the first to give way, while the rest of the field began to close ground and bunch up as they swung around the turn in what was rapidly becoming a superb horse race. Zucchero and Will Win were moving fastest of all as they came to the top of the stretch, where the cagey Englishman, Emmanuel Mercer, got Will Win down along the inside to save ground to get to the front. As they came pounding down the lane, the Hasty House Farms Rui, one of the American entrants, came flying down the middle of the racetrack with a wily veteran Adams putting all his skills to use to get the last possible ounce of run out of his mount. It was too little, too late. Wilwin crossed the wire, a 2-length winner, Rui second, Zucchero third. Then came Niederlander, Pilaster, Greek Ship, and the fully spent early pace setter Indian Hemp. Arcaro, who rode Greek Ship, said after the race, quote, "No excuses. Those other horses just ran on by me too fast. I'd have given my right arm to win this race, but my mount ran one of his poorest races," unquote. Manny Mercer, the winning rider, was beside himself when he leaped off to hug his mount in the winner's circle. He had ridden a perfect race, keeping his mount off the pace in 6th place in the early going, allowing the early speed to kill each other off, then deftly driving through along the fence, turning for home. During the presentation ceremony, Wilkin was accorded a huge ovation by the crowd, and that cheering continued on in a great display of international sportsmanship. That October day in 1952 at Laurel in Maryland, and the running of the very first international, indeed a great moment in thoroughbred racing.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
HRRN proudly presents Tappet Trice Week. Brought to you by Keeneland Sales, all this week.
Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, new spaces, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this spring. Love, Keeneland.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Racing to the final 200 yards, and it's Shaftesbury Avenue on the inside. Digging down deep from Tashakur, Huff and Puff, 4 lengths off them in third. Shaftesbury Avenue goes on to win.
Shaftesbury Avenue, the son of Darley stallion Maxfield, with that impressive win at Navan to remain undefeated in 2 career starts. That's a winning effort, which makes Shaftesbury Avenue your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley stallion Maxfield, his $1 million yearling Shaftesbury Avenue, is now a perfect 2 for 2 with his impressive win at Navan last weekend. The day before, another exciting son, Dannon Bourbon, stamped his ticket to the Kentucky Derby in dominant fashion, winning the Fukuru Stakes in Japan. Learn more about Maxfield and all the Darley stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Here's Great White up to the front. Great White and Hatfield are staying on. Baytown Dreamer is third, and Full Effort is launching a big charge to the far outside. Great White, Baytown Dreamer. Here comes Full Effort. It's Great White with the lead. Full Effort's chasing him. Great White and Full Effort. Great White, once bidden, twice shy in the John Battaglia Memorial for Great White. Full Effort second. How about the effort for Maximus Prime and Baytown Dreamer? Minor placings for them, but it's the big 3-year-old Great White in the 44th running of the John Battaglia Memorial.
Trainer John Ennis looking to pull off the upset in today's Bluegrass Stakes with the appropriately named Kentucky-bred son of Volatile, Great White. Great call, by the way, from Tony Callow. Love the reference to the band Great White. Once bitten, twice shy. Great White, 15-1 on the morning line. And John joins me now for this week's Kentucky-bred conversation. This segment presented by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development and Breeders Incentive Funds, which paid a record $20 million in awards to breeders participating in the KBIF program last year for racing in 2025. John, appreciate the time, my friend.
No problem, Mike. Anytime.
Yeah, looking forward to Great White doing his thing. How'd you like that call from Tony Callow?
I loved it. Tony's very good at his calls, and yeah, he loves that horse.
What did you make of the effort from Great White to win the Battaglia?
I thought it was very good. You know, we had a clean, smooth trip. He done, you know, we were probably 3 or 4 wide, but he done Everton last. He's only his 3rd start, and no, you'd have to be pleased with how he did it.
Were you thinking Derby trail with him before the Battaglia?
I guess everybody's thinking like that. But it kind of... Yeah, everybody thinks like that when they've got a 3-year-old that wins a maiden first time. Maybe he's a big horse. Maybe he gets 2 turns. Maybe you're only dreaming kind of quietly in your own head. But after he won, then I kind of said maybe he does have a shot to get to the Derby. So kind of now, when he won that, the dream was alive.
Yeah, it's alive, and it's alive and well in the Bluegrass Stakes this afternoon. What leads you to believe, John, that he fits with these horses in the Bluegrass?
Well, there's nothing really to say that he doesn't. I say he's done nothing wrong. The time he got beat in the Leonata stake, he was stuck on the rail, and he was only his second start taking on stakes horses. And he only got beat 4 3/4 lengths in a good field. Street Beast ran yesterday and ran really good in the grass at Keeneland. So that kind of form was franked. So I'd say he's done nothing wrong. Yeah, we're going to a Grade 1. Yeah, we're running on dirt for the first time. But I believe if he's not good enough to get points to run the Derby like today and qualify, he's not good enough for the Derby. So I said more time between the Battaglia and the Bluegrass will be better, and let's try him on dirt. And if he's good enough to run with these horses today, then he's good enough to go to the Derby.
Yeah, not only was his form franked, as you said, by Street Beast, but Full Effort too, who came back and won the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Great White beat him in that Battaglia Memorial. Yeah,
that's right. Full Effort is a good colt. Probably didn't have, probably was coming late at me the last time in the Battaglia. Maybe he'd have beat me if he was a little bit further. But no, look, it's as you said, the form is franked, and he was super impressive in the Jeff Ruby, so it gives you a little bit more confidence coming into a race of this stature.
You mentioned him trying dirt. All 3 of his starts have been on the synthetic at Turfway Park. What things do you look for, John, in his training that leads you to believe, okay, this horse will handle the dirt surface?
Well, he's very smooth. He's very balanced for a big colt. He makes it look effortless when he gallops on the dirt. And all his training prior to his first start at Turfway was on dirt. He's trained every day on dirt. He's breezed twice at Keeneland on the dirt. So if he don't run good today, it's not going to be because of the dirt. It'll because he's not good enough. Simple.
You are part owner of this horse along with Three Chimneys Farm. Tell me what you liked about this horse early on.
Presence, a lot of presence, big individual, very kind, great disposition. Did I think he'd be this good? No. He was a real kind, big, floaty, athletic horse that I just liked. I loved from the moment I seen him. So, everything just worked out,
He came out of the Fasig tipped-in December digital select sale back in 2024. That's a platform that Fasig is having a lot of success with. What did you like about shopping on the digital platform?
You can get a lot of Fasig. Firstly, do a great job promoting these sales, but you can get a lot of horses that are might have had an issue at the auctions in September or October, and they just, for whatever reason, they go to a digital sale like this, and if you look through them all, you will find something eventually that probably shouldn't be in a digital sale like this, and it's kind of just a nice horse. Like he's not by a fashionable sire who is actually doing well now, but
yeah,
if you just forget the sire, forget the pedigree, just look at the individual, and you can find nice horses in them digital sales.
All right, John, what's it going to take, other than running faster than everybody else, what's it going to take for Great White to pull off the upset in the Bluegrass this afternoon?
Look, we just want a clean trip. That's all I want, is a clean trip. He's obviously going to have to run harder than he's ever ran before. A clean trip and just a bit of luck, and we get the racing gods on our side. And he's doing fantastic. He looks fantastic. He's a happy horse. So we're going there. We're going to give her our best shot, and we'll see if we can run with these Grade 1 horses.
Yeah, you have to find out sometime. John, you've been at Turfway throughout the winter. This is our Kentucky Bred Conversation segment. What is it about Kentucky racing, and in particular Turfway in the winter, that makes you stick around?
It's just the best racing in the country, bar none, here, Mike. The prize money is phenomenal. As you see, the horses that have ran in Turfway running these stakes yesterday, they're all competing. They're all running big. So not like maidens before. The maidens at Turfway Park are strong. They're very good. They compete with anywhere in the country. They might knock it because it's not on dirt, but I think dirt horses can run great at Turfway as well. So just the overall standard of racing in Kentucky with the prize money is better than anywhere in the country.
John, just to drive your point home, when he broke his maiden on December 12th of last year, his first career start, the purse was $100K for a maiden win. That used to be a big stakes.
Unbelievable. I remember running in Turfway and maiden special weights. I'm sure there's guys listening that would remember a lot less than this, but I remember running for 18,500 for a maiden special weight at Turfway Park. Now it's 100,000. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. John, it would be unbelievable if Great White were standing in the winner's circle later today. Best of luck, my friend. Really appreciate you joining me.
Mike, thanks for having me.
All right, you got it. Don't forget, a record $20 million in awards was paid to breeders participating in the Kentucky Thoroughbred Breeders Incentive Fund program last year for racing in 2025. KBIF has provided more than $250 million to breeders of Kentucky breds winning eligible races worldwide since the program was implemented in 2005. And Kentucky remains one of the leading racing jurisdictions, paying out $239 million in combined association purse and Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund for an average of more than $112,000 a race and an average field size of 8.8 in 2025. For more information on racing and breeding in Kentucky, all you have to do is head to KentuckyBreds.com or register KBIF.com. Fun stuff from John Ennis. Yeah, what a great program, too. When I come back, it's time for this week's edition of Calling All 3-Year-Olds, presented by Spendthrift with Bobby Neuman, and I'll tell you what's coming up in a loaded second hour of the program. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed, Versailles, Kentucky.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment. Email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. This is HRRN, where racing comes to talk.
They're all in line. And they're off.
Spendthrift Farm presents Calling All 3-Year-Olds with Bobby Neuman.
Last Saturday was an important day for Kentucky Derby hopefuls. At Gulfstream, the Florida Derby was a nail-biting finish between Fountain of Youth champ Commandment and Tampa Bay Derby winner the Puma. The latter got first run, but the stretch run of Commandment proved too much, and he just got up to win by a nose. They both have enough points to get into the Kentucky Derby, but the question is whether third-place finisher Chief Wallaby has enough with 50. At Oaklawn, heavily favored Renegade closed from the back of the pack to not only win but crush the field by 4. Both Commandment and Renegade are sons of Into Mischief. In Dubai, Japan-based Wonder Dean tracked down the lonely leader's 6th speed to win the UAE Derby going away. Both are planning to make the trip to Kentucky, and in Japan, Dan and Bourbon remained undefeated while easily taking the Fukuru Stakes. He too is expected to head to Kentucky next. Some bad news last weekend. Derby favorite Paladin suffered an injured ankle following a workout and will miss the Triple Crown races. The 100-pointers continue today. At Aqueduct, graded stakes winners Iron Honor and Napoleon Solo lead a solid Grade 2 Wood Memorial field of 13 that also includes Bravaro, Butane, Talk to Me Jimmy, and Right to Party. At Santa Anita, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby brings together a strong field of 7 that includes 3 graded stakes winners, Potente, So Happy, and Intrepido. And at Keeneland, the Grade 1 Bluegrass sees graded stakes winners Class President and Further Ado square off while taking on 7 others, including talented up-and-comer Reagan's Honor. The Kentucky Derby points qualifiers conclude next week with the Grade 3 Lexington Stakes at Keeneland. I'll be back with this week's top 5 list right after this word from Spendthrift.
A warrior from the start.
Dornock is coming back! Dornock in the Remsen!
What separates the best isn't just talent, it's meeting the moment. Look your rival in the eye and say, not today.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stakes! And Dornock stubborn! Dornock wins the Haskell!
A world-class athlete made for the fight. That's Dornock.
The only horse to beat Mindframe twice and who also beat Sierra Leone twice. Dornock, standing at Spendthrift.
This week's top 5 list of Derby contenders looks like this. Number 5, Wonder Dean tracked down a lonely leader in Dubai, and Japan runners have proven that they're serious threats when racing in the U.S. Number 4, the Puma continues to fire big shots every time he runs. Hard to deny his talent. Number 3, Chief Wallaby got outmoved in the Florida Derby while racing on the bad part of the track. He still has room to improve. Number 2 is Commandment. Big wins in 3 major 3-year-old stakes at Gulfstream. If he carries that form to Churchill, he's a major player. And number 1 is Renegade. His stretch runs in the Sam Davis and Arkansas Derby were super impressive. He deserves to be the Kentucky Derby favorite. That's your Calling All 3-Year-Old segment presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.
And 28 days away from the Run for the Roses, stakes are high across the country this afternoon with the Santa Anita Derby, the Wood Memorial in New York, and then the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. Which of this afternoon's Kentucky Derby preps is the strongest? Well, 78% of you are saying it's the Bluegrass Stakes. 22% for the Santa Anita Derby. Nobody voting for the Woods so far. That's shocking, because typically this would not be shocking because the Wood Memorial has not been the strongest of those 3 prep races in recent years. But this year could be a little different. Just 0% is really shocking. Keep those votes coming. You can go to @HRRN on X to cast your vote. You can do that too on Facebook, Horse Racing Radio Network, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know which of those 3 races you feel is the strongest today. I've been telling you for years, really, but if you're in the Bluegrass now for the meet, or you're coming in later in the meet, or you're going to be in for the sales this summer, make your reservations at Tony's of Lexington. You want an outstanding meal. Greatest steak you will have anywhere. I promise you. And I'm a steak and potatoes guy. The Sir Barton, that New York strip, is incredible. The filet, the bone-in filet, the regular filet. I mean, come on. Their food is incredible. That ribeye they have, you want the texture and the marbling and do the bone-in ribeye. That's really good, too. I've had them all. And they're all fantastic. Make your reservations now. Tony's of Lexington. It is the greatest steak you will have anywhere. Great environment, great atmosphere, wonderful people. Call them now and get your reservations. Get in there because you'll be thanking me afterwards, I promise you. Kurt Becker, the announcer at Keeneland, he's set to kick off a busy hour number 2. I'll tell you what else is included right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back, hour 2 of 3. A busy morning in the world of thoroughbred racing, and it's been very busy on the show so far. Kicked it off with Hall of Famer Nick Zito as my first guest today, John Ennis, with our Kentucky bred conversation, talking about Bluegrass Stakes long shot Great White. That was just a short time ago. If you missed any portion of the first hour of the program, or for that matter, any of the shows we bring your way each and every week here on the network, all you have to do is head back to our website. That's horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast at your leisure. We also break out individual segments. So if you want to binge listen to some of our individual segments that are including in the show, you can go back and do that too. And you can do it on your favorite podcast platform. So wherever you get your podcast, make sure you follow along with Horse Racing Radio Network and get all of the shows we bring your way every single week. Well, I mentioned Kurt Becker, who is going to join me here momentarily. He's going to kick things off for you. He's going to talk about the Bluegrass Stakes. We'll look back on what happened at Keeneland yesterday, and then he'll share some thoughts on Tapit Trice. We have been celebrating the 2023 Bluegrass Stakes winner all week long. Our coverage presented by Keeneland Sales. Tapit Trice went through the sales ring at Keeneland. Kurt Becker was on the stand, so you'll hear from him in just a couple of moments. Chad Brown going to be here at 9:20, and at 9:40, the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. What more could you ask for here in hour number 2? Gets better. Hour number 3 includes Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires Triple Play at 10 o'clock Eastern. 3 races for you to watch and wager on this afternoon at Keeneland. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History story comes your way at 10:20. Great story about Honest Pleasure, who won the Bluegrass Stakes 50 years ago. Nobody weaves a story together like Kurt Becker. You won't want to miss that one. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans, with Tim Wilkin. We'll talk about some of the hottest topics in the sport today, including those 3 prep races. Which is the strongest? I'll ask Dale and Tim that question toward the end of the program. Well, Kurt Becker is the man you hear on the microphone at Keeneland every single meet. He's the only full-time announcer Keeneland's ever had, and he joins me right now here on HRRN. Kurt, good morning, my friend.
Mike, good to be back on with you.
Yeah, excited to talk a little Bluegrass Stakes, but let's start with what we saw yesterday. What were your takeaways from the racing yesterday?
Man, there was some excellent racing yesterday. I thought that probably the story of the day was Percy's Bar coming back after the disqualification here last fall in the Alcibiades, and she comes back and in her season's debut wins a Grade 1 in the Ashland. And remember, Mamba ran a huge race in the Transylvania. I didn't think as they were coming down the stretch, the back of your mind, as an announcer, you're watching and you're looking for that horse because certainly, had taken a lot of money at the windows. But I thought, there's no way. And then not only wins, but wins really with some room to spare. I will tell you this, the filly that won the Ashland, Percy's Bar, She's owned by the Hat Creek stable of Gatewood Bell, and of course Gatewood is our director of racing at Keeneland. So I had made a comment in the call about her making a breathtaking move around the final turn, and our head auctioneer Ryan Mahan sent me a text after the race, and he said, "A breathtaking move." He said, "What a suck up you are."
Hey, that's not the first time you've done that, Kurt.
No, I thought he knew me better than that.
Yeah, just take a look at your past performances.
Exactly. There's a reason they put those in the program.
Liz, I'm sure you're very excited to have a clear weather day to be able to call the races this afternoon.
I am. It should be a great day today, and the other thing is this. I look at some of the fields for the stakes, both yesterday and again today, and that we've got some fields that maybe aren't as large as some of our graded stakes fields have been in recent years on opening weekend for the spring meet, but the quality is very, very strong. And I'm a big fan of the fact that, when you get a 7, 8, or 9 horse field, number one, it's arguably less stress on the announcer. But number two, as a general rule, I think maybe it reduces the risk of some traffic issues. Not that a horse still can't find trouble in a smaller field, but I think it maybe evens the playing field, gives everybody a fair shot in that regard.
I mentioned this just a few moments ago. My poll question this morning, I'm asking listeners which of the 3 major Derby points races taking place this afternoon do they feel is the strongest? The Santa Anita Derby, the Wood, or the Bluegrass? And so far, it's a runaway. Everybody's saying that the Bluegrass is the strongest of those 3.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm glad as someone who works for Keeneland. It tickles me to hear that's the perception. And look, there's no question. You've got I think a really strong horse, likely favorite, Further Ado. We know that he likes the track. He had that big win last year as a 2-year-old and broke his maiden here by 20 lengths. But beyond that, I'm not sure what to make of the rest of this field. I know that Reagan's Honor is 5-2 on the morning line, which is fascinating. I mean, this is a horse that has run some big races, visually impressive races, good speed figures and such, but has not been in the stakes until today. So I feel like if I'm going to be blunt, my analysis is I think Further Ado wins this race, and I think on paper he's the class of the field and maybe even wins by a pretty convincing performance. But I've been wrong before, and we've seen some upsets in the Bluegrass before.
Yeah, we certainly have. How big is the scratch of Class President?
Well, that is the horse that I thought really had maybe the best shot to challenge Further Ado, because one of the reasons is a person thinks about Todd Pletcher and all the success that he's had in this race, and he's won it 4 times, I think, and he had already, Class President, had shown the ability to win a stakes, to win a graded stakes at that, having won the Rebel. My take is I think Further Ado, his job maybe got a little bit easier with that scratch, unless some of these other horses, they're on the upswing. Chad Brown's got a long shot in there. Ottinho. Chad has hit the board with some big prices in this race. I think he had My Man Sam a few years ago that looked like he had no business being in there and was runner-up at a huge price. So, but I think the scratch of Class President definitely means this race has to go through Further Ado.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat. He's the morning line favorite. You bring up Chad Brown. He's going to join me in the next segment, Kurt. And, boy, Chad's still reeling from the loss of Paladin, who a lot of people thought was going to be among the favorites, if not the favorite, in the Kentucky Derby. He loses him to injury, and now here he is with Ottinho and Iron Honor up in New York. We'll see if he can find a way to maybe find some vindication here with one of those 2 horses.
And, Chad is he's approaching a milestone. I think coming into today, he's 4 wins shy of 3,000 career victories. And I know sometimes trainers hate it when we bring that kind of thing up. It seems like across the world of sport, anytime anybody's approaching a milestone, it just seems like anything that can go wrong will in trying to get to that milestone, or at least it seems to get a lot more difficult at that point. But he's had a lot of success at Keeneland, Chad has, and it'll be interesting. I think he's got horses maybe in 5 races at Aqueduct and maybe in 4 or 5 races here at Keeneland today. So he'll get a lot of shots at it.
Well, further ado, the favorite returns to the scene of what was maybe his most impressive victory, that 20-length maiden win that you had the privilege of calling, Kurt. And let's take a look back at that day. It was October 10th of last year, and here's the way it sounded from you.
And in the meantime, Further Ado is kicking on into the final furlong. 8 lengths to the good. Vino Vici, a distant second now to Brave Force in third. It is Further Ado well in front of the field. Iran Ortiz Jr. Further Ado wins it. It was Vino Vici who was across the line in the second position, and then further back came Alghero, who made up a lot of ground, followed by Apollo 11.
Kurt, that was a call which you caught a little bit of flack for on social media for some reason. Sounded okay to me.
I did. I remember there was somebody at the end of the day on X who said he was surprised to learn the horse won by 20. He said he thought from my call that he must have won by 2. And I will say this. I will plead the case that I think it speaks to how easy Further Ado made that look. He'd won by 20 lengths, but he seemed to do it well within himself. And I'll tell you something else, Mike. I'm a big fan of a handicapper by the name of Mike Watchmaker. Handicapped races for years for the Daily Racing Forum, and I had a chance to get to know Mike actually traveling with you and the HRRN crew at the Triple Crown races over the years. And he and I had a great visit at Pimlico one year during Preakness week, and he said, he said, my general rule is don't go overboard when a 2-year-old scores a visually impressive win. He was kind of like, let's not get carried away here. Let's wait and see what happens as that colt or that filly matures at age 3 and if they're able to sustain it and keep going forward. So I always carry that with me. But believe me, today in a grade 1 like the Toyota Bluegrass, heck, he'll get a hell of a call if Further Ado's in front.
Especially if he wins by 20.
Oh, my goodness, yes. In fact, I actually went back and looked. You bring up a good point. In my time at Keeneland, this will be my 30th Bluegrass, the biggest margin of victory in that time was Sinister Minister, who won by 12 3/4 lengths. And I actually did go back and look that up, so I thought, you never know. You need to be ready.
Yeah, you never know when that's going to happen, and maybe it's Further Ado again today. But one thing's for sure, Kurt will be keeping an eye on Further Ado as he rolls through the stretch here this afternoon in the Bluegrass. This is Tapit Trice Week. We've been celebrating Tapit Trice, the 2023 Bluegrass winner, all week long. It's presented by Keeneland Sales. Kurt, not only did you call him winning the Bluegrass Stakes, but you had the privilege of being on the stand at Keeneland when he went through the auction.
And that's always fun. I've long said that one of the things I most appreciate and enjoy about my dual role at Keeneland as track announcer and also as one of the sales announcers is the chance to see the careers come full circle of some of the, I think of the Keeneland November weanlings and, of course, the Keeneland September sale yearlings, as was the case with Tapit Trice. Yeah, and he sold for $1.3 million, and then Gainesway partnered up after the fact with Mandy Pope, who bought the horse that day. And it's so much fun to watch that happen when a colt goes through the ring, sells at Keeneland, comes back and wins the signature race at Keeneland, the Toyota Bluegrass. It's just one of the aspects of the sport, and specifically the sport at Keeneland, that I really enjoy.
Yep, and he was special. And, when he steps into the ring and sells for more than $1 million, he was a good-looking horse. And then to see what he did on the racetrack was equally as special.
It really was, and of course he's now at stud, and if memory serves, sometimes I lose track of the years, but I think his first foals are being foaled as we speak here this spring, so it's awfully exciting to see that next generation.
Kurt, listen, I know it's a busy morning for you. I will let you go. I appreciate you taking time to join me here to celebrate Tapit Trice and to celebrate this year's running of the Bluegrass. All the best this afternoon at Keeneland. We will be listening.
Mike, I appreciate it. Always fun to catch up, and everybody have a happy and safe Toyota Bluegrass Day.
Happy Easter, my friend.
And you too.
All right, Kurt Becker here on HRRN. You think about what Kurt Becker does. Here he is. He calls for 3 weeks in April and 3 or 4 weeks in the fall. That's it. And he picks up the microphone, the binoculars, and steps up to the microphone, and it's beautiful to watch. And I say this about all of these announcers who are so great. And we are blessed with a lot of great announcers these days. In my opinion, Kurt Becker is as good as it gets, because he doesn't do it year-round. And when he steps up for opening day in the spring and in the fall, throws up the binoculars, steps up to the microphone, and doesn't miss a beat. The guy is just that good. And I've really enjoyed getting to know him and work with him over the years. And coming up later in the program, you're going to hear his Stroll Through Racing History segment, which is presented by Keeneland. That story about Honest Pleasure, who won the Bluegrass 50 years ago. So stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for Chad Brown coming up next. Bob Baffert after him right around 9:40 Eastern, and then a loaded hour 3 of the program too. Want to pass along the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. If you didn't catch it at the beginning of the show, I'll give it to you here in just a moment, because that question is challenging this week. Not super hard, but I don't know if I'd call it impossible. But it's a good one. Who was the first horse to win both the Bluegrass Stakes and the Kentucky Derby? The first horse to pull off that double. Who was it? Get your mojo working. The answer comes your way toward the end of the program, right around 10:55 Eastern Time. Remind you again, if you missed any of the conversations so far, Nick Zito, John Ennis, Kurt Becker, you can head back to the website, horseracingradio.net, after I finished up at 11 a.m. Eastern to listen to the podcast. You can do that, too, on your favorite podcast platform, and not just this show, but all the shows we bring your way each and every week. Follow us on social media at HRRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, another way to keep in touch with us, and sign up for our 2 email newsletters that we send out to you free every single week to keep you in the loop on everything. You can do that on our website as well. Chad Brown coming up next. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The National HBPA is continuously working to protect the health and welfare of horses by advocating and funding research to help reduce equine injuries, lobbying for a national testing lab to oversee and establish absolute uniform laboratory protocols, advocating for every track to undergo an annual independent surface assessment, passionately supporting off-the-track thoroughbred retirement facilities and adoption groups, and so much more. See additional HBPA initiatives at nationalhbpa.com.
This is Tapit Trice Week, presented by Keeneland Sales on HRRN.
Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, new spaces, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this spring. Love, Keeneland.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Quarter mile left to go, and Crown the Buckeye still there. Iron Honor with every shot to run by the leader, but Crown the Buckeye still continues on and battles on Iron Honor. Iron Honor to the outside, Crown the Buckeye to the inside. Noses apart here in the Gotham. It's Iron Honor now with a neck advantage. Crown the Buckeye is resilient. Iron Honor almost there. Iron Honor now 2 for 2 and wins the Gotham. Iron Honor over Crown the Buckeye right to party. An exhibition only. 1 minute 37.94 seconds.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. I can say that. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you along for the ride as we now welcome to the program Chad Brown, the trainer of Iron Honor. You just heard Chris Griffin with the call of the Grade 3 Gotham and that impressive victory that day. That has earned him the right to be among the favorites, if not the favorite, in today's Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. Chad, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What did you make of that win in the Gotham?
I was pretty impressed with it. He had missed a little bit of training in the month and a half prior to the race, and even leading up to shipping him, I had to ship him a couple days closer to the race than I really wanted to because of a storm in New York. So I thought he had a lot of things going against him, and I was just hoping that he gave a good effort, expecting that maybe he'd come up a little bit short with everything he had to overcome, and he was able actually to persevere through it and win. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, 2 for 2 lifetime. Both efforts have been very impressive. That maiden win was nice too.
Yeah, he did something there I didn't think he could do, was going 6 furlongs. I kind of put him in the race reluctantly because I couldn't get a longer race to go. The timing just didn't work. So when the longer race did go, so I had to sprint him, and again, I thought maybe he'd run really, really well and gallop out well, and he was able to win. So this horse has done a couple things in both of his starts that surprised me. He's overcome some situations, so he looks to be a good one.
What led you to put him in the Gotham off of just that maiden win?
Well, I was looking to give him a chance. He certainly trained like he was a horse that could potentially get onto the trail, albeit later than I wanted to, given his talent, what I've been seeing. And with points on the line and a track that he was 1 for 1 over, and keeping him around one turn with a gradual sort of stretch out, all those things appealed to me about the race, and it worked out.
And now he gets his chance to go 2 turns. He will do it from the outside post, number 13, assuming that all horses are entered in here. But either way, he's going to be on the outside post. Talk about that situation, being drawn outside, going 1 1/8 at Aqueduct.
Not ideal. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed he drew out there. But he'll move in one spot, given that I took Ottinho out and sent him to the Bluegrass.
Yep.
Ironically, he drew wide as well over there. So I've been drawing a lot of wide posts, but, it all evens out in the long run, I guess. He's going to have to work a trip out. He's got good speed from the gate. Hopefully he breaks well and kind of go from there.
One of the horses that is expected to vie for favoritism is Napoleon Solo, who drew the inside post. Which is the bigger challenge to overcome going 1 1/8 at Aqueduct, inside or outside?
I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on what your horse's running style is, and I'm not really sure. I know that horse showed speed last year. I don't know anything about him, but I think it's just a lot when you're drawing posts, whether it's Aqueduct or somewhere else, and in these 2-turn races, I think it just depends on your horse's running style, what's best for them or what is not best for them.
So considering Iron Honor will have to work out that trip, as you said, from the outside post, what's the conversation like between you and jockey Manny Franco?
He's 2 for 2 on the horse. He's done a really nice job. He's gotten to know this horse, and he's given him 2 really good rides. So not a whole lot. He's been on him a little bit in the mornings, too, and he's very pleased with the horse. So I think the key is just letting him break forward and finding his way to the first turn, look left, and kind of see where you end up.
You mentioned Ottinho, your other horse who was cross-entered in both the Wood and the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. You opt for the Bluegrass with him. How come?
Well, he was also drawn wide, the 11 in this race, and I just looked at it as, this horse, let me take my chances on a fresh post over in Kentucky in a field that's it has changed shape a bit with the favorite Paladin out of the race. Additionally, I had Pratt available to ride the horse with the scratch of the withdrawal from Paladin, and he knows Ottinho. So those sort of things appealed to me to make a move here with him.
You bring up Paladin, and that had to be one hell of a gut punch, my friend.
Yeah, tough. This game can be challenging at times. It's a couple weeks ago, we had 3 of the top 7 horses, all undefeated, headed in the Derby, and you just feel like something's going to happen. It's just almost too good to be true. These horses are, very fragile, particularly on the Derby trail. You're asking a lot of them, and sure enough, we had our top-ranked horse, get hurt. So it's a very tough one when you have one of the favorites in Kentucky Derby, and you got to sort of deal with that. So I feel bad for the Connections. They're a super fine group of gentlemen that nearly won it with Sierra Leone's. I really felt mostly bad for them, and they missed their opportunity here. And my team worked for them, but thankfully the horse is going to be okay long term, and it could have been a lot worse. And we've got to care for the horse and get him back to the races in the fall.
Yeah, what is the latest on him right now?
He had a successful surgery with Dr. Larry Bramlage this week, and
nice.
He's over at Ashford Stud in Kentucky, already home starting his recovery, and we're hoping to have him under tack in 90 days.
Well, we can't wait to see him back. He's certainly ultra-talented, and he's going to be a player later in the season. At least that's what we all expect. Back to Ottinho for a minute. You put the blinkers on. What's the key, other than, of course, running faster than everybody in that race, what's the key to victory for him?
Well, he's going to move in one more slot. I saw there's a scratch already in the race, so he was the 8 of 8. So I think just breaking cleanly, we have a little blinker on the horse. It seems to have focused him up a little bit. He had his own share of little minor excuses in his last race. He missed some training with a quarter crack, and I wasn't able to work the horse before the race. So I think there's more in the tank there. First and foremost, he's a half-brother, a gun runner, so he's got some good blood behind him. And he's a big, handsome horse that always trained with a lot of promise. He really doesn't do anything wrong. He might have been missing that little piece of a development with a blinker to focus him up. And, between having uninterrupted training and having an equipment change, there's always a chance he could move up a few lengths. And if he does, it could put him in the mix to get a piece of this.
Chad, you're closing in on that 3,000 win milestone. We talked about Iron Honor and the Wood Memorial. That's a race that, shockingly, is not on your resume yet. How cool would it be to win the last one ever run at Aqueduct?
To win any one would be great, but particularly the last one at Aqueduct. New York-based trainer and born and raised in New York, so it would mean a lot. And to have this horse win the last one and have it be an undefeated horse headed onto the Derby. So fingers crossed.
One of my favorite Wood memories is when your mentor, Bobby Frankel, won it with Empire Maker. Do you have a couple?
Yeah, that was very special. I know meant a lot to him. My memories are mostly narrow defeats for myself, and I've been in some tight ones, but it's been a good race for me. Even though we haven't won, I've had horses come out of there and do well. I've had 2 Wood runners that ran really well in the race that came back and won the Preakness out of the race. So it's a race we've used to go on and do great things out of it, and has a lot of history, as does all of Aqueduct. So it's it'd be bittersweet to win the last one, knowing that Aqueduct's going to go away, but it makes it a little easier to take when you see what they're doing, Naira, with the new Belmont Park, because I'm here today, and you could see it going up, and it's exciting, and it's a new era of racing over here in New York, and I think it's all in all it'll be for the better.
I mentioned closing in on 3,000 wins. How much have you paid attention to that number, Chad?
Not till about a week and a half ago. Somebody let me know we're getting close, and I just sort of lost track of it. I don't run a whole lot in the winter. I think everyone that follows me know I kind of focus my season from like the 1st of April to the 1st of December for at least, I'd say, 80% of our starts. So, I'm busy training a lot and getting some horses started and derby preps and stuff like that. But we're really getting serious and to make, a lot more entries per week than we normally do. So I really wasn't paying attention to it. But yeah, it's close, and here we are. We won the 1,000th at Saratoga and the 2,000th at Saratoga. I don't think we'll be able to wait for Saratoga. If I win to Saratoga, I might be out of business if I don't win 4 races before then. But hopefully it happens in New York because I'm here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about New York. The Gazelle Stakes is the race preceding the Wood Memorial. Always a runner. You're entrant in there. Tell me a little bit more about Always a Runner.
this filly here has had her share of bad luck. She came in last summer to us and trained brilliantly right from the start. I trained her mother. She's very talented. Obviously, gun runner, well-bred horse, 3 Chimneys bred the horse and raised horse. I get great horses from them, she just had some bad luck. She was ready to run in the fall, and I thought this was Anita Oaks filly, and she got really, really sick. So she's on the sidelines, really sick. And thankfully, she came out of it and broke her maiden at Tampa, and then she got sick again. So this is why we're here with only one start. She seems to be healthy, knock on wood. She's training great. It's not the path I would have picked with only one start, but she worked so good last week, I had to enter her and try her. She's just a brilliant horse in the mornings. We'll see if she can develop.
Chad, I'm going to ask you about another special filly that you had the chance to train, and that's Lady Eli. Does she get into the Hall of Fame this year?
I don't. The Hall of Fame is tricky. I don't.
How does she not
fully understand all of the rules and what they do? I've had a couple of horses already that deserve. I mean, how's Bricks and Mortar not mentioned? I mean, here's a horse, the first turf horse, and I don't know what it was at the time, 20 years or something. He won Horse of the Year, and a horse that won from a mile and a half, all over the place, and beat some of the world's best horses in the Breeders' Cup. He's not even going to mention. I don't understand that. And then Lady Eli, to my knowledge, she's one of only three females that's won Grade 1s in 4 straight years. I mean, that's what I was told. I mean, Beholder, Rushing Fall, another filly of mine, and Lady Eli. So I'm not really sure with the Hall of Fame. I'm not criticizing the Hall of Fame. I just don't understand the process. I don't. I see stuff that's questionable. I think on one hand, part of professional sports is the debate and the opinions, which I welcome, you know. It's even with our stable or our horses. I'm not offended if somebody doesn't pick us or something like that. And who's getting in the Hall of Fame and not. I think across every sport there's a lot of debate. So I don't mind that. It's part of sports. I guess I just don't understand the process, and I guess those type of things can always be tweaked or looked at. Or I'm not sure if it's who's voting doesn't have all of the information and stats, or if it's the actual process and how they're tallied. I'm not really sure, but might be something to look at and tweak. And you know, I've thought that for a while. In all parts of the Hall of Fame, human and horse, there's some aspects about it that I think are probably outdated, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, she got my vote. I don't see how she is not a Hall of Famer. It's mind-boggling to me. I think if any horse is going to be in there, she's certainly one. I think Groupie Doll's another one that needs to be in there. And last year, these horses didn't get a sniff, so we'll see. Maybe this is the year that they finally break through. Before I let you go, 2 more stakes to talk about. Rated by Merit in the Carter. Talk to me about that race.
Yeah, super talented horse. I was fortunate enough that the Violas transferred over to me for a New York campaign last year, and we got the one big race out of him, and then he had an issue. We had to back off on the horse. So we've been patient with him. He was going to be our Pegasus horse because of his affinity for Gulfstream Park, which I was excited about. He just, couldn't work it out schedule-wise. So here he is, back at Aqueduct where he last ran for me and ran a good number, and hopefully he can develop into a Met Mile horse. That's my hope. Super talented, undefeated horse with his share of little setbacks here and there. But he seems to be pretty healthy now and training, excellent.
How about Just Aloof in the Appalachian at Keeneland?
Yeah, a really nice filly that came along for us in the second half of the year last year. And we were able to just rest her by design for a complete campaign from April on, and she cooperated. She took her break well. She came back and did everything right. Very classy horse. I think that has a good range to her. I think starting her off at a mile, she's proven at a mile last year. Trains like a horse that'll get a mile and a quarter by summertime. So exciting horse if she stays healthy.
Yeah, she certainly looks like she could be any kind, and that's kind of the fun of this time of the year, right? You hope that they're going to get there. You don't know where they're going to end up.
Yeah, you don't. You got to, and like we saw with Paladin, you just have to keep them healthy, and we do the best we can. I think a lot of big barns do, and with great teams, and you just try to do the best you can. And unfortunately, sometimes these horses don't always stick to the schedule health-wise, So we have a good group of horses that if we can keep them healthy, and like you said, it's exciting to see how they develop, and we'll give them every chance to get into the right races.
Chad, appreciate the time as always. Best of luck in those races. Best of luck getting to number 3,000 too.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Chad Brown here on HRRN. When I come back, you're going to hear from a current Hall of Famer in Bob Baffert. Of course, Chad Brown, a surefire future Hall of Famer. But Bob Baffert, the current Hall of Famer, is going to talk about Santa Anita Derby. He's going to talk about Wood and the Santa Anita Oaks. Stay with me on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, horse racing's voice.
This is HRRN, where racing comes to talk.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The 24th season of live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. More than $125,000 in contest prize money spread out over 20 free handicapping contests, including 18 seats to the 2027 NHC Finals. The season is highlighted by the 31st running of the Grade 3 $300,000 Indiana Derby Saturday, July 11th. Live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Look for more info on social media at HS Indy Racing.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day. It's Santa Anita Derby Day here at Santa Anita Park. Watch and wager on top Derby prospects, as at least one of them will go on to represent SoCal in the Big Kentucky Derby. The Grade 1 event is the highlight of a tremendous Easter weekend lined up here at the Great Race Place, and we have a plethora of events surrounding that big day, like the Front Runner Buffet, a barbecue in the Loge box seats, a 5K run, a craft beer festival, an elegant celebration in the Chandelier Room, a Santa Anita Derby handicapping contest, and a spring carnival. Then Easter Sunday, we will have an Easter egg hunt in the infield for kids of all ages. You can get all the details and you can purchase advance tickets over at santaanita.com. Santa Anita Park, it's your best bet for world-class entertainment and world-class racing on Easter weekend.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Cavalier looks for racing room. Prince of Thieves on the outside, and Eiley Robb has nowhere to go as Parker uncorks the drive in the middle of the racetrack. They're at the top of the stretch in Honor and Glory with a short lead, but here comes Cavalier with Chris McCarron, and Cavalier takes command on the extreme outside. Eiley Robb is flying. Cavalier digging in. Cavalier gonna win it by a length and 3/4. Eiley Robb second, and far back, Honor and Glory finished third. Bob Baffert, the trainer of Cavalier, confident all week. Yes, he gets it at 10-1.
Dave Johnson with the call. How about that moment? The first of a record 9 victories in the Santa Anita Derby for the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. Cavalier, you could have got 10-1 on Cavalier that day. Can you believe it? Bob Baffert joins me now here on HRRN. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, guys, and listening to that brings back a lot of memories. I almost didn't run Cavalier in the Santa Anita Derby. It was weird. He'd gotten beat. He ran second. I was so disappointed, and I was going to take him somewhere else, and then I worked him. I came back and worked him, and he worked really well. So I told the owners, you know what, I'm going to take one more shot at it. And he wins the Santa Anita Derby, and it was like, oh. It was one of the biggest thrills, my first Santa Anita Derby, because, when you win the Santa Anita Derby, you're going to go to the Kentucky Derby, so it's like a double thrill. It was just so exciting that day.
Let me take you on this trip down memory lane for a second, Bob. Cavalier, Indian Charlie, General Challenge, Point Given, Pioneer of the Nile, Midnight Interlude, Dortmund, Justify, Roadster. Those are the 9 winners of the Santa Anita Derby that you have trained. When I mention those names, which one puts the biggest smile on your face?
Well, I mean, Justify was like, he was I think he was the only one that won it. I mean, the Silver Charm Santa Anita Derby I should have won. It was my fault. I was happened to be listening to the Roger Stein show he used to have out here, and we had Lucas on at 6 in the morning, so I wanted to I would listen to the show. And Lucas told me he had Sharp Cat, and he said he's going to steal it. He's going to put her on the lead. He's going to steal it like he did with Winning Colors. So I told Gary Stevens, hey, Lucas is going to try to steal it. Don't you dare let him out. You just go with him, you know. And all of a sudden, when they got to the backside, they were rolling, and Gary goes, "Oh my, we're going really fast." Maybe, and Freehouse was in the race, and he saw Freehouse saw what was going on, so he backed off. And Gary goes, "I was going to back off," and then I thought, "Oh, Bob's going to be mad at me," so he stayed with her, and he just put her away, but. He could have run last that day, and he came back and almost won the race. That was probably, even though I got beat, I knew, you know, we had the best horse in there, and Gary Stevens came back. That's the only time I've gotten beat in a race where we were so pumped up because we thought we're going to win the Derby now. You know, that proved it right there. But that was probably. Other than winning it, that was very exciting because I knew I had a chance to win the Kentucky Derby.
Was there one of those 9 that I just mentioned that maybe surprised you a little bit when they jumped up and won the Santa Anita Derby?
Oh, yeah, the Midnight Interlude.
Yeah.
He was like, and you know, some of them surprise you, but usually when we go in there, we're the hot horse. But I can't believe that. Been since I haven't won it since 2019. It seems so long ago, you know. But it's fun, you know. It's a big day here at Santa Anita, and people. It's going to be packed, and people get to see these horses, and it's like it's a big day. So it's very important to us, you know, the Santa Anita Derby. So it's a big race now, and to win it, you know, like I said, when you win it, you know, but you got to win it the right way to know if you're going to have a chance in the Santa Anita Derby. You know, that's another thing too. You know, I've won it before, and I thought, well, I might have won it. We're going to the Derby, but I don't know about, you know, winning the Kentucky Derby. You know.
You know, the one that stands out to me is General Challenge not because of General Challenge necessarily, but because you had a tremendous filly that same year, Excellent Meeting, who is still to this day my all-time favorite filly, and she actually beat General Challenge in the Kentucky Derby that year.
Well, General Challenge he was a good horse, but he was a mental case. He was probably the most talented horse with no mind at all. I mean, I just couldn't ship him. He would lose it. I mean, he could not cross the Colorado River. He just lost it. And I remember having him in Kentucky. He was the favor, and I took him to school him, and he just washed up, wringing wet. And I schooled him the next day, wringing wet. And I thought, I can't school him anymore. I'm not going to have a horse left. He just lost 50 pounds that week just from schooling him, and he just couldn't handle the shipping. He ran great in California, but he just could not ship. He wouldn't ship well. I took him to the fairground. It should have been a layup. Couldn't win down there. I mean, I just could not. Some horses, they just can't handle it, you know. But he couldn't handle it. But he was a good horse. But Excellent Meeting. I ran her in there because I had Silver Bullet Day.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great filly, and I didn't want to run them both in the. And I threw the filly in there because the filly I knew she'd get the distance, and I didn't trust General Challenge, and that's why we threw her in there.
Yeah, she ran one hell of a race that day too. She was something special. What a year that was, huh? Silver Bullet Day and Excellent Meeting and General Challenge. It's a pretty good year this year too, my friend, with Cherokee Nation and Potente going in this year's Santa Anita Derby. Tell me about those two horses. Let's start with Potente.
Well, Potente, he's 2 outs, but he had a really good foundation. The first time I ran him, I didn't think he would win. I thought he's going to need the race. He's not a sprinter or whatever. And I told the owner wanted to come out. I said, nah, I'd watch this one on television, And I had another good horse in there, but he scratched the day before. Crude Velocity, who's actually running. He's a really nice horse. So. And he won that day. I was surprised that he won. And Kimura, who rode him, came back and said, "Hey, this horse does not want to sprint. He wants to go long." And I love the fact that he went 10 and change, didn't run that fast, so that's good. He's not when they go 8 and change, you go, oh, I don't know, that's pretty fast. He might not run that far, but the way he did, he's a big, long horse, beautiful. He's got a beautiful head on him, but a beautiful body, and all the bottom is all Marty Wygod, good, well-bred, a lot of turf, we got a lot of turf on there. But, the turf mares, they can go long, and he doesn't look like your typical in a mischief, but he's a strong horse, good bone, and so when I threw him, there's no allowance race, so I just threw him in the stake, like, we'll see what happens here, and sure enough, he's in a good spot, took a lot of dirt, came running at the end, and nailed the horse on the inside. It was exciting, and he just kept on going, and so past the wire, he opened up 10 on that field, so that was pretty impressive. Came back, has trained well, so he's probably more predictable, where Cherokee Nation, he's had a lot of starts, hot and cold. A lot of it was gate issues, not getting away from the gate. He's not the best gate horse. Last time he jumped out of there really well. And so he's going to have to jump well. If not, he didn't break well 2 races before, but he came around and was running at the end of it. So, and his last race was just off the charts. I mean, if he would have run that last race tomorrow, he would win the San Diego Derby. He went a mile and 134 and change. I mean, just it came back like it was nothing. So he's going to have to run a kind of race like that, and he has to run first or second, or he's not going to get in, because he only has 3 points. Where Potente, he's basically in.
Yeah. Potente's in for the most part, but you're right. Cherokee Nation's going to need a huge effort today, as is Butane up in New York in the Wood Memorial. Let's talk about him for a minute.
Yeah, Butane, I'm sort of swinging for the fences there. I thought the spot in Colonia would be great for him, and he drew the 1, and he doesn't break. He's always over half a step slow, and Pratt, he's trying. They just came over on top of him immediately, and Pratt, he just told me every move I made was the wrong move. It was one of those nightmare trips. And he still, I didn't even know he ran 4th. I thought he'd run last. I quit watching. I was just so, like, I couldn't believe it. Every move was a bad move, And, but, that happens in horse racing. But, he's come back, and I was going to bring him back here. I thought, I'll just ship him to the Wood, just up the road, and give him a chance. And he's been doing well. But then he drew the 12 hole. He went from the 1 to the 12, where I'd rather be in the 1 hole there. And so, but we'll see what happens. Maybe, we get a piece of, but expectations are a little bit, I don't know how far he really wants to go. And so we'll find out there.
Am I correct, Bob? Isn't he named for Walker Buehler's fastball that they call Butane?
Well, yeah, that's his. That was his nickname. I asked Walker if I could name a horse that, and he says, "Well, as long as he's a good one," he said. And so I thought, he is a good horse, but I just don't know on is he one-turn horse or not, one-turn mile or whatever. But right now, we'll give him another crack at it, and he's doing well. Worked well the other day there, so never know.
What's the latest on litmus test? I know you didn't have things go your way in Arkansas. What's the plan with him?
Well, I'll just bring him to Kentucky. You know what? I took the blinkers off of him, and we thought maybe we'd get him off the pace and come running, but without the blinkers, I think he's just very. He was running. He looked timid. He never got into the race. I think the blinkers was taking him off was a mistake. He needed to be, put into the race. It's not the jockey's fault. I just told him, let's try this, and it was a bad move, to do that. So, we'll figure something out. I might run him, maybe we'll shorten him up 1 turn mile or something like that. But that's what these preps are for. You're trying to figure them out, but they're really good horses. They find a way to win. So we're hoping, but my strong, I think Santa Anita Derby. It's just a good race. There's some good horses in there. I think that the Intrepido, he's good. I'm so happy he's a good horse. The robust. I think it's a good race. I think they're nice horses.
How about the 2 fillies in the Santa Anita Oaks, Forced Entry and French Blue?
Yeah, Forced Entry really surprised me the way she won last time, and he came off the pace. But J.J. Hernandez, he jumped ship on me there, and he took meaning. He went with the McCarthy filly. So Mike Smith is riding her. And French Blue, I thought French Blue couldn't get beat last time, and she got either tired or she just got outrun. And so we'll find out. She came back. She's been working well. I've always been very high on her, but Forced Entry, she's a nice filly, and she's like Cherokee, Nation. They show you more in the afternoon than they do in the morning. So those are the kind of horses I like.
I wouldn't feel too bad about that Mike Smith guy. I think he's going to be okay in this game.
Mike is incredible. He's just incredible. And we were talking about P-Val. I saw Mike today. We were talking about P-Val coming back and winning his first race. And I called P-Val after the race, because he's been texting me, hey, Bob, don't forget, watch me. I'm going to be riding Monday, and watch me, and I'll go wherever you need me. I'll be there for you. He has so much energy, so positive, So I called him after he won his race, and I told him, I go, hey, Pat, I told everybody you won a race, but nobody believes me because it's April Fool's Day, and he, but he was so excited and so emotional, and I felt so good for him because we need to get him in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame, So hopefully we'll get him in there.
Before I let you go, Bob, since we're talking about the Philly side of things, what's the latest update on Explora?
Explora just got back last night from Oakland. She got up there and she spiked a little temp, and luckily for us, the Oakland, the veterinarians, they have a lab right there where they can do the blood right away. Mm-hmm. And usually most tracks you have to wait all day before you can find out if your horse is sick. And she just didn't. She had a 101.4, and then we did the blood, and it looked like her blood was. One blood looked okay, but one looked like she was getting something. And then we've had a sickness going through the barn here in Santa Anita. And about an hour later, it went to 102, so we knew, she's got something. So we just had jumped on the antibiotics right away, and so she never got real sick. She could have, and left her there and made sure till her blood was just perfect. And now she went to the track today, looks great. So unfortunately, she didn't run, but she looks good.
Bob, all the best in those races coming up later on this afternoon. Really appreciate the time, as always, and look forward to seeing you in Kentucky.
Need to run 1-2, boys. 1-2.
Go get it done.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. Hall of Famer Bob Baffert looking for a 10th victory in the Santa Anita Derby. But as you heard him say, it's been a while since Roadster took home the top honors. We'll see if he can find his way back and add to that record later today. Of course, looking to pull off an upset, taking a shot, a swing for the fences, as he said, with Butane in the Wood Memorial. When I come back, I'll tell you what's coming up in hour number 3, take a look at a couple dates in racing history, and pass along an update on today's poll question. That's all in the next segment here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Ms. Fernandez, what are those tiny things?
Those are what we call amoebas. You can only see them through a microscope.
Wow.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, there's a funding crisis in public schools. Millions of kids go to schools that don't have funding for books, computers, and so much more just because of where they live. You can help change that. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You choose which supplies to support. You could provide first graders with pencils and paper, or other students with their first chapter books, help a music class get a guitar.
You could even supply a classroom like mine with a science project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow.
To learn more, please visit DonorsChoose.org. That's DonorsChoose.org. Choose students. Shape the future.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Wow, getting ready to wind down a really busy and, in my opinion, stellar second hour of the program. Had nothing to do with me. Had to do with all those guests you just heard, with Kurt Becker, Chad Brown, Bob Baffert, Nick Zito earlier in the show. Don't forget, you can check out the podcast on our website and your favorite podcast platform after I finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. Poll question for you this morning. You can go to @HRN on X or Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or you can email the show to let me know your thoughts. Which of today's 3 Derby points races is the strongest? Is it the Santa Anita Derby in California, the Wood in New York, or is it the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland? Keep those votes coming. I'll try to pass along the results later in hour number 3. Time to take a look at a historical date in racing history as it applies to this weekend. It was yesterday, April 3rd, 1962, that at the age of 46, late Hall of Fame jockey Eddie Arcaro announced his retirement, and he retired with 4,779 victories, including 2 Triple Crowns, 1 with Whirl Away, and Citation. 82 years ago, Arcaro won the first of his record 9 Wood Memorials aboard Green Tree Stables' Stir Up for trainer John Gaver Sr. His 9th and final win in the race came in 1958 aboard Jules Reward, owned by Main Chance Farm and trained by Ivan Park. And that's a look back at a date in racing history. It applies to this particular weekend. Hour 3 is straight ahead. It begins with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe Kristufek will be here to give you 3 races you can watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, looking back on the career of Honest Pleasure, who won the Bluegrass Stakes 50 years ago. And Dale and Tim with I Ask They Answer to wrap up the show. We'll have a little fun in that segment, too, here this morning, looking ahead to Easter Sunday. Yeah, you heard me. We'll have some fun with Dale and Tim in that segment at the end of the program. All that coming your way next, right after this 10-second break for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Midnight Bisou claims are in a stride. Spectator is running a grand race, but 16th to go, and Midnight Bisou with another assertive final furlong. The top filly of the meet deservedly wins the Grade 1 Santa Anita Oaks.
My Miss Sophia, who's got another gear. Plenty left for the final furlong here. And here's Got Lucky on the outside of Sweet Reason, but they're coming down to the finish, and My Miss Sophia, it was just a stroll in the park for her today, and she sails under the wire, an emphatic winner of the Gazelle.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Fusa Ichi Pegasus runs by the front runners, and he's pulling away, and he is pulling away impressively. Red Bullet left behind, Country only third, Aptitude fourth. Fusa Ichi Pegasus will roll into Kentucky as the favorite in the Derby.
And California Chrome is absolutely sensational. California Chrome will be carrying the hopes of California all the way to the Kentucky Derby. He waltzed home under Victor Espinoza.
Tappet Trice is right alongside past the 16th pole. Tappet Trice puts ahead in front. Tappet Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back, Hour 3 of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on an absolutely spectacular day of thoroughbred racing. Awesome stakes races coast to coast. Later this afternoon, Santa Anita Derby Day in California, Bluegrass Stakes Day in Kentucky, Wood Memorial Day up at Aqueduct. Can you ask for anything more? I think not, except for maybe what I brought your way in the first 2 hours of the show. Whenever you can get Nick Zito, Chad Brown, Bob Baffert, all part of the first 2 hours of this program, I think you're doing something right. I'm going to brag on me a little bit. That's fantastic. What a show. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Plenty more to come, including Joe Kristufek. He's going to kick us off momentarily with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. Dale and Tim, 10:30 Eastern Time with I Ask, They Answer. If you did miss any of those conversations in the first couple of hours of the program, check out the podcast of the show. It'll be up after I finish at 11 a.m. Eastern. That is horseracingradio.net. One way to listen to it. You can also do that, too, on your favorite podcast platform. Keep the results and the responses coming to our poll question here this morning. Which is the strongest prep race this afternoon? Is it the Santa Anita Derby? Is it the Wood Memorial? Or is it the Bluegrass at Keeneland? You can go to @HRRN on X to cast your vote. You can do that, too, on our Facebook page, Horse Racing Radio Network, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts. Time now to say hello to Joe Kristufek as we kick off this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Joe K., what's going on, brother?
Transition period, my man. We finished up at Fairgrounds a couple weeks ago and get a little bit of time for some turnout, I would say, before we really start gearing up for Kentucky Derby 152. You know, the workout show is on the horizon. opening day, Saturday, during the day of this year, last Saturday in April, 1 week before the Kentucky Derby. So, the team that we have at Churchill, we've been in place for a while now, so we always find new and better ways to be more efficient and try to stay ahead of the game, because it's always a good thing going into a busy season like this. So, yeah, looking forward to it, looking forward to the entire spring meet and a different section of my year, so to speak.
Zito, Brown, Baffert, and now Kristufek. Does it get any better on a Saturday morning? Joe, let's kick it off. You begin with race number 2 at Keeneland, then we'll go to race number 8 and race number 9 as your chosen triple play on this Saturday morning. Race 2, 6.5 furlong, maiden special weight, purse of $110K. How'd you see that one, my friend?
They gave me all those names on that list and me following them up, and I just pictured the old gong show where I come on stage to give picks and I get the gong after like 30 seconds. Hopefully I can perform admirably here, because all those guys have just, knocked it out of the park in their careers. I'm always going to gravitate, Mike, or for the most part, to horses that I have familiarity with in the early stages of this Keeneland meet. But although I'm not handicapping it publicly, I'm still doing notes and playing the races, and I love the changes that Keeneland has made to the wagering menu. We'll see how those play out moving forward. But I thought Gulfstream Park's championship meet was every bit as strong, if not stronger, than it normally is this year. I know Brad Cox had a stronger contingent down there than he normally does. And in this race 2, Deep Flame, I thought, ran well at Fairgrounds. I think Trouble Calling's a nice horse for Greg Foley. I think he's going to be in stakes competition down the road, comes from a very strong family. But at 4-1 in the morning line, I like Gilded Bandit for Bill Mott. Comes out of an absolutely paceless race with a forward flow. Was far behind early, was the only horse to make up ground in the entire field. $550,000 son of Charlatan, putting the blinkers on, which is a strong category for Bill, main man Junior Alvarado aboard. And I don't know that this horse is going to be the 4th choice like he's listed in the morning line. I'm thinking maybe he might be the favorite or at least the 2nd choice, but I really do like his chances here.
I like that Brisnet late pace number with Gilded Bandit, too. Boy, he was flying home at the end of that last race.
Yeah, and the flow is not in his favor. The internal fractions were moderate, and putting the blinkers on in the 2nd career start, I'm guessing Junior and Bill talked it over and thought maybe focus was a little bit of an issue, or they thought the horse was going to show more speed. Had an outside post that particular day, post 10 of 10. So lots of reasons to think this is going to be a nice horse moving forward, and probably even more reasons to believe this horse can break the maiden today.
Do you hook him up with anybody else in exactas and tries, or do you play him straight?
No, I like Deep Flame. Like I said, it was a coin flip for me between the two. That horse debuted 5-2 on Risen Star Day at Fairgrounds and ran a very good race behind Trouble Calling, who's a really nice horse in his own way. So I look around at a couple of the other favorites. You got Give the Devil His Due coming in out of a mile race at Turfway. I can't necessarily think that horse is going to be as good sprinting on the dirt. And then the other horse that's one of the favorites in the morning line is Chad Brown's Accost, probably ready off the bench here, but hasn't raced since late August at Saratoga. So I would say Gilded Bandit over Deep Flame, maybe Accost, maybe an exacta key box, and the stronger exacta with Gilded Bandit on top.
All right, and Gilded Bandit 4-1 on the morning line in race number 2 at Keeneland this afternoon. Race 8 at Keeneland is the 2nd leg that Joe has chosen for you this morning. 1 mile on the turf, the Grade 2 Appalachian Stakes. And this is a pretty good one, Joe. I always like this race. These 1 mile turf races at Keeneland are always fun. How'd you see it?
Well, I like 2 Aflame quite a bit, and hopefully, the races remain on the turf. Don't know how this horse is going to handle a less than firm turf if that does come into play. But at 12-1, certainly worth a shot. This horse was in an off-the-turf race at Ellis. I remember looking at this pedigree, Justify over a Galileo mare, and saying, I don't know about off the turf on the dirt, and the horse won anyway and looked good doing it. Ran in the juvenile fillies at Kentucky Downs. I made a pretty significant bet on the horse that day. Should have won. Wound up finishing third, got beaten ahead, and then off the layoff could not have looked any more impressive than she did at Gulfstream last out, going a mile. Won a lot easier than the margin of victory will indicate. I think this is a horse that's got a very bright future. There's a lot of talent in the dam side of the pedigree with Justify on top. And hopefully my buddy Alex can get a win at Keeneland and a win for the Cubbies on the same day. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it really would. Maybe a Breggy bomb in the making, right?
Yeah, there you go. If this horse pays $20, I think it would qualify.
I was actually watching the Cubs game the other day, and he hit a couple of home runs, and they were talking about it being called a Breggy bomb. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that goes back to his days with the Astros,
yeah.
And you like hearing it a lot better when he's on your team.
Yeah, and one hell of a guest on this show too. Every time I reach out to him and he joins me, he's so passionate. As much as he loves baseball, and he does, he's so passionate about the sport of thoroughbred racing too.
No, and he's the kind of guy that you like to see have a really good horse. He's had some good horses over the years, but to have a really good horse and put him in the spotlight. Obviously, it's baseball season, but I know he's still paying very, very close attention to what's going on in the industry, and especially with his horses. So it's nice to have somebody like that that's high profile as an athlete, as invested in the sport as he and his family are.
Yeah, the Alex Bregman owned 2A Flame for Rusty Arnold, 12-1 on the morning line, number 4 in race 8. That's your top pick, but you also have a sneaky long shot in here for us.
Man, I'm always going to root for Grant Forster. He's one of my best friends in the industry, and he won with Faithful Departed January 18th at Fairgrounds after a very troubled trip on the start before. And I was like, oh, that was a nice win. I mean, it was better than it looked, but I didn't think the horse had much chance, and either did the betting public at 35-1 in the Lacombe Memorial. Lost to a really nice filly for Brendan Walsh, an up-and-comer who the barn really liked going into that race in Indigo Woods. And Faithful Departed did not have the cleanest of trips, so she may have pulled off the upset that day. It looks like she's legitimate, 20-1 in the morning line. If I'm playing multi-race wagers, I'm using both of these horses. And depending on the price, you can get really creative when you like two long shots that much, when you attack exactas, tries, supers, whatever bets you make. So this is a race that I'm going to be heavily invested in, particularly if the turf remains firm or even good.
All right, number 4, 2A Flame on top, maybe Faithful Departed in second. That's number 3 at 20-1 on the morning line for Grant Forster, as Joe just alluded to. Joe, how about race number 9 at Keeneland? Your top pick in that race, and by the way, race 9 is the Grade 1 Madison, 7 furlongs on the main track.
Yeah, so the one Eclatante had always shown some ability. She won the Forward Gal at Gulfstream. She was third in the Goldenrod. They figured out, Into Mischief, Scat Daddy mare. Horse probably was more of a one-turn horse. Did not race this past summer after a really disappointing performance in the Leslie's Lady at Churchill. Brad Cox, Stone Street, they regrouped with her, and she was super impressive in that win back on February the 15th at Gulfstream. She's had enough time in between races where I don't think, the potential for a bounce is as big as it normally would be. Brad's horses don't bounce a lot because he likes to give them extra time between the races. And I just think as a bigger, stronger, more battle-hardened 4-year-old filly, has got a chance to be really good this year. And I love the 7 furlong distance for her as well. We'll see how the Keeneland main track plays, Mike, especially in the spring early in the meet, it could be inside speed favoring, which certainly wouldn't compromise her chances at all. I don't know that she has to be on the lead, but she could sit that advantageous pocket trip. I like Eclatant quite a bit. There's also a lot of other speed in here, so sitting in that pocket might work to her advantage. And earlier in her career, she was more of a little bit of a stalk and pounce type than the speed and press that she showed last out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's certainly quick out of the gate, and she's found herself in advantageous positions in the past, and of course last time that worked out well as she got the victory. This is a big step up though, Joe, jumping into Grade 1 company now.
Yeah, it's a Grade 1 race, but when you look around at the rest of them, I mean, you've got Mystic Lake, who's knocked down a lot of, minor stakes in her career. You've got Our Disaster, who's a multiple Grade 3 winner, won the Grade 2 Gallon Bloom at Aqueduct, but, she is kind of a horse that was built for a racetrack like that. Grand Job, I know, is dangerous. She hasn't raced since January at Gulfstream, but she's a Grade 2 winner. Ragtime, a multiple stakes winner. I like Clico a lot, but not in this race, Mike. I think she's a two-turn horse. This is a good starting point for her to go 7 furlongs for Brendan Walsh in her comeback race. So all things considered, I think there's 3 or 4 horses going to take equal money. And at 4-1, I think that's a pretty fair price on Eclatant.
All right, there you have it. Eclatant 4-1 from the inside post in race number 9, the Grade 1 Madison. Let's recap Joe's TwinSpires Triple play for you here on this Saturday morning. Race 2 at Keeneland, he'll take number 7, Gilded Bandit, at 4-1. Race number 8, he'll go with number 4, 2A Flame, at 12-1, and a little bonus long shot in there for you in that same race. Number 3, Faithful Departed, who is 20-1 on the morning line. Also a horse that Joe thinks can make some noise. And then race 9 at Keeneland, he'll take number 1, Eclatant, at odds of 4-1. Joe, I'm sure TwinSpires is ramping up. They have been ramping up throughout the entire spring, and of course that Fairgrounds meet just concluding. But I'm sure with Keeneland and then that lead into the Derby, there are going to be a lot of things for horse players to take advantage of with TwinSpires.
Yeah, they've got the Road to the Derby promotion, which is always on the big prep races. You want to definitely take advantage of that. There's going to be good promotions now that the Keeneland meet is underway. On the reg for TwinSpires, the tournaments are sensational. You've got the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge looming, and there's still some last-minute opportunities to qualify for that. The breeder, the BCBC, and the NTRA, the NHC contest are the big ones, the ones everybody knows. But the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge is slowly working its way into that conversation as one of the most important and lucrative contests of the whole year. So TwinSpires is the place to be. Lots of great information to find there as well. And just really looking forward myself, because I can play Keeneland, a little bit differently than I approach Churchill, with having a little bit more time to do so, to take advantage of those promotions on my own account.
Yeah, it makes sense. Joe, enjoy every minute of the weekend. Good luck with those selections and all the races you're going to play. And again, we'll encourage everybody to go to TwinSpires to make their bets on this Keeneland meet, because it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds good, Mike. Always a pleasure. And hopefully I'll live up to the expectations set forth by my predecessors on the show today.
Hey, you notice how I scheduled them on the undercard, and you were kind of like the featured act here today.
Like Eclatant, I think I still need to prove my class to an extent.
Joe, appreciate it, brother.
All right, be well, Mike. Take care.
All right, Joe Kristufek with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Always a lot of fun. If you missed it in the first couple of hours of the program, I passed along this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question, which we do every single Saturday here on the Equine Forum. Here it is. Who was the first horse to win both the Bluegrass Stakes and the Kentucky Derby? The first horse to pull off that double. Who was it? You can go to at HRRN on our social media pages if you want to post your comments there. If you want to email the show, you can do that. Or just challenge yourself. You can keep it to yourself and see if you get it right. I'm going to reveal the answer to the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question coming up at the end of the show, right around 10:55 Eastern Time. Coming up next, it is time for Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, presented by Keeneland. He takes a look back at honest Pleasure, who won the Bluegrass Stakes 50 years ago in 1976. And still to come, Dale and Tim with I Ask They Answer. That comes your way at 10:30 Eastern, right here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tenda Equine and Pet Care products have been keeping world-class equine athletes happy and healthy for generations. Keep your equine athlete looking and performing well with Tenda Next Generation Wound and Skin Care Treatment, along with nutritional supplements, leg and muscle care products, salves, hoof care, poultice, topical aids, and grooming products. Visit tendahorse.com today.
The 24th season of live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. More than $125,000 in contest prize money spread out over 23 handicapping contests, including 18 seats to the 2027 NHC Finals. The season is highlighted by the 31st running of the Grade 3 $300,000 Indiana Derby Saturday, July 11th. Live racing is back Tuesday, April 7th at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Look for more info on social media at HS Indy Racing.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. He was a champion at 2 and won the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland as a 3-year-old before taking runner-up in the Kentucky Derby, and he broke the stakes record in the Travers. His name was Honest Pleasure. Foaled on March 28, 1973 at breeder Waldemar Farms of Tim Sams in Williston, Florida, Honest Pleasure was a dark bay or brown colt by What a Pleasure out of Tularia by Tuliar. His sire won the Hopeful Stakes at Saratoga, while his dam defeated males in the International at Fort Erie for Winfield's Farm. Purchased for $45,000 as a yearling by trainer Leroy Jolly as agent for client Burt Firestone, Honest Pleasure lost narrowly on debut at Belmont Park as a juvenile before breaking his maiden by 5 lengths at second asking. After a 2-month layoff, he returned to Belmont with a runner-up finish, followed by a win by 6 lengths in Allowance Company. Honest Pleasure shipped to Illinois for his stakes debut in September of 1975 in the Grade 1 Arlington, Washington Futurity at Arlington Park. In his first race outside New York, he shot up the rail under jockey Daryl McHarg at odds of 5-1 to defeat 18 rivals. Returning to Belmont Park in October, Honest Pleasure won the Grade 2 Cowden Stakes by 8 lengths under Braulio Baeza. 10 days later, the colt scored a 7-length triumph in the Grade 1 Champaign as the 6-5 favorite. In his final start at 2, Honest Pleasure won the Grade 1 Laurel Futurity for his 4th consecutive stakes victory, and it propelled him to eclipse honors as champion juvenile male. Jolly described him as big and bright with a quiet, calm temperament, adding that the colt was already taller and wider than Foolish Pleasure, the horse with which Jolly had won the Kentucky Derby a few months earlier. Honest Pleasure went to Florida for the winter and began his campaign as a 3-year-old at Hialeah Park on February 11, 1976, winning an exhibition race by 14 lengths. 2 weeks later, he set a sizzling pace as the odds-on favorite in the Grade 1 Flamingo and drew clear by 11 lengths at the wire. He got the mile and an eighth in 1 minute 46 and 4/5 seconds, breaking the stakes record of 1:47 set by his grandsire, Bold Ruler, nearly 20 years earlier. So impressive was the front-running victory by Honest Pleasure that one turf rider said the only pressure he faced was to avoid being bored. Another predicted a triple crown, causing Jolly to remark in his typically dry fashion, "You're giving me chills. I better put on a jacket." In describing the colt, Jolly said Honest Pleasure was an intelligent horse with a smooth way of going, eager and a willing worker. For their part, some in the media were calling him the Bionic Horse, a reference to a popular television show of the era, which featured a character called the Bionic Man, with superhuman strength and speed. Heading to Gulfstream Park for the 25th running of the Grade 1 Florida Derby, Honest Pleasure went to the post as the 1-20 favorite and scored another front-running victory under jockey Braulio Baeza. He paid $2.10 to win, making for the smallest payout at a Florida racetrack since 1949. Turf riders continued to praise Honest Pleasure, saying the question wasn't whether or not any other horse could stay with him, but whether or not anyone was capable of getting close enough just to breathe on him. One observer stated that the only thing which could put a scare into him at this point was the Loch Ness Monster. Honest Pleasure next shipped to Kentucky and captured the Grade 1 Bluegrass at Keeneland as the 1-10 favorite, 9 days before the Kentucky Derby. But in New York, a colt named Bold Forbes had won both the Bayshore and the Wood Memorial, setting a stakes record in each. Most commentators and columnists agreed Honest Pleasure would still be the Derby favorite, but the race would be far from a walkover. The 102nd running of the Kentucky Derby took place Saturday, May 1st, 1976 at Churchill Downs, with Honest Pleasure the post-time favorite at 2-5 and Bold Forbes the second choice at 3-1. One turf rider described the race as two major contenders against a field of dark horses, long shots, and Don Quixotes, and that analysis would be proved correct. The Derby winner would go gate to wire that year, and that winner would be Bold Forbes. Honest Pleasure chased him all the way and got within a half length in the stretch before crossing the wire as the runner-up, beaten a length for the win. No one else was even close. While it was no doubt a disappointing outcome for his connections, Honest Pleasure nonetheless would bounce back to win the Travers Stakes at Saratoga later that summer in track record time under Craig Perrette, getting the 1.25 miles in 2 minutes and 1/5 of a second. 3 weeks after the Travers score, Claiborne Farm announced Honest Pleasure would be joining their stallion ranks and had been syndicated for $160,000 per share. As a stud, his notable offspring would include Grade 1 winning millionaire Judge Angelucci. Honest Pleasure died in August of 1992 at the age of 19, but he remains memorable as a champion juvenile which enjoyed sustained success at the top level as a 3-year-old. And given that he won Keeneland's Bluegrass Stakes 50 years ago this month, we wish everyone a happy Bluegrass Stakes Day. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Thanks, Kurt, for that story. And remember, all of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments are available via podcast on our website. And don't miss our Weekend Stakes preview show with Bobby Neuman and Bob Nastanovich, which is also available right now at horseracingradio.net. I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim coming up next. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A Keeneland session topper from the first crop of the all-conquering Vekoma. Jonathan's Way was touted by purchaser John Moynihan as, quote, one of the best-looking horses you'll ever lay your eyes on. Out of an undefeated stakes-winning juvenile daughter of Indian Charlie, Jonathan's Way is a complete outcross through his first 5 generations and comes from the immediate female family of the great Dynaformer. Brilliantly talented with the pedigree and physical makeup to be commercial dynamite. Jonathan's Way, a future stallion star standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
You're listening to Tapit Trice Week, presented by Keeneland Sales on HRRN.
Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, new spaces, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, We can't wait to welcome you back this spring. Love, Keeneland.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
The 4 big shots with 1/8 of a mile more to decide it. The Puma has the lead. Running at him from the outside is Commandment. In between horses, Chief Wallaby. A thrilling finish to the Florida Derby. Here comes Commandment. The Puma tries to turn him back. It's a win photo. It's 1.5 inches either way. It's the Puma on the inside. It's Commandment on the outside. They were locked in battle toward the finish.
Renegade way out in the center of the track, but he's coming with a burst. And here comes Renegade sweeping to the lead. And Renegade is drawing away in the Arkansas Derby. It's off to the run for the roses for Renegade in a dominating effort in the Arkansas Derby. How impressive was that? A huge kick from him today.
Commandment and Renegade both moved to the head of the Kentucky Derby class with big wins last weekend. But with just 4 weeks remaining, which horse looks like the more attractive buy for Dale and Tim? Plus, should next weekend's Lexington Stakes carry a higher point value? We'll talk about that, and we look back on some of our favorite Wood Memorial moments. All straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, and all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. And it all comes your way just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
All right, huge weekend of racing coast to coast and plenty to talk about here on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. We begin with a topic submitted by our friend Shane in North Carolina. He actually has a couple, guys. He says Chief Wallaby, who finished 3rd in the Florida Derby and is currently in the Kentucky Derby field with 50 points. After the race, Junior Alvarado said, "I had a good trip once I put him in the clear, but he didn't kick on. He just stayed the same speed. I figured when I asked him, he'd give me at least a mild kick, but he didn't. He just kept the same pace." So after those comments by Alvarado, Dale, are you buying or selling Chief Wallaby as a win candidate for the Kentucky Derby?
I'm still buying. I'm a fan. Sometimes those jocks say that, and I think that the other horses are just running just as fast. They might be kicking and not feel like it because they're not catching as fast as they wanted to. I think he's a lightly raced horse. He's got room for improvement. I didn't think Junior rode his best race that day.
Tim?
It's a tough one for me. I think that I think Chief Wallaby is going to be a major factor in the 3-year-old division, but I'm not sure he's going to be on the first Saturday in May. So I think I'm going to sell right now. I mean, this, he's in the Hall of Fame barn with Bill Mott, and that's, puts him in the game. But, they're asking him to do an awful lot, to win the Derby in his 4th start. I mean, Made did it. Justified did it. He won the Triple Crown. I mean, Chief Wallaby has certainly shown in his short resume that he can do some things. I mean, in his second start, he was beat by a neck by Commandment in the Fountain of Youth, and then he was beat by less than a length by Commandment and the Puma in the Florida Derby. He's going to get better, but I think Bill might need a little more time with him.
Yeah, well, interesting comments by Junior. We'll see how this plays out when we get to the first Saturday in May. Guys, if you had to pick just one, Arkansas Derby winner Renegade or Florida Derby winner Commandment, which are you more inclined to buy after their latest victories? Dale, which one do you like better?
I read Ortiz bought Renegade early, so I'm going to stick with him. He knows what he's only one. He's ridden them both more times than I have, so I'm going to say Renegade.
This is another tough one. Renegade was visually impressive winning the Arkansas Derby by 4. I think that Commandment beat a better field, even though he only beat 5, but it was the Puma, the Chief Wallaby nearly. And, he was in a fight all the way in the stretch, down the stretch to win by a nose. I think that's going to benefit him moving forward. Renegade, I think Silent Tactic, who was second, was the best of the rest in that field. Commandment, I think, was, again, beating better horses. And I just think that, when a horse is in a fight, I know that, it's a lot easier when you win by open lengths, but when a horse is shown that he can fight and come out on top, and he's done that more than once this year, give me Commandment.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. If you like Commandment, do you also have to love the Puma?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
No Dale, doubt. I'm just going to point this out. Irad Ortiz Jr., who is among the best, if not the best, in the sport of thoroughbred racing when he gets aboard a horse, 0 for 9 in the Kentucky Derby. Does the streak come to an end this year?
It's just a matter of time. Might as well be this year. I think it's going to be a very interesting Derby. It's going to be some good horses coming in here with big resumes. It's going to be fun to watch.
And the thing about Renegade too, remember he wasn't the first stringer for the Pletcher barn when this all started. I mean, he had Ted Noffey, then there was Nearly, then there was class president. Now Renegade is sort of, he's definitely taken the Pletcher mantle and he's running with it. He's the first stringer now. He wasn't always the case. He's good. There's no doubt about that. But it's going to be very interesting to see, what shakes out today. And then, as we work towards the first Saturday in May, a lot of things going to happen.
Well, speaking of today, Tim, some good ones. The Bluegrass at Keeneland, the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, the Santa Anita Derby out in California. Which of those three is the strongest Derby points race this afternoon?
Historically on our show, we've always kind of not given much love to the Wood Memorial, but I'm going to give love to the Wood Memorial today. I think that's the most compelling race of the three. I mean, we have a field of 12. And, you have, I think, half of the field has points. Chad Brown's Iron Honor is the only one that's really squarely in the Derby field with 50 points. But you got horses like Napoleon Solo who needs points. You got horses like the Withers Winter Talk to Me Jimmy needs points. Butane needs points for Bob Baffert. And there's Courting for Todd for the $5 million horse who he's taking the blinkers off today. Who knows what he might show? He's not facing Paladin, who he's facing his last two. He could bounce back here. Bravaro, who is second in the Grade 3 Holy Bull and fourth in the Fountain of Youth, he's got 20 points. I think that is the most compelling race. And with Napoleon Solo, who was fifth in the Fountain of Youth in his last start, which was his first start in 148 days, mind you. I think he is eligible to rebound, but Chad Summers is going to find out today if this horse is a serious Derby contender or if he should maybe go towards the sprint, be a sprinter. But I think the Wood out of those three races, if for once, is the race that is most compelling. Not that the other ones aren't. You got Further Ado in the Bluegrass, and you got Baffert's Potente and Cherokee Nation out in California. But give me the Wood this year.
I'm going to agree with you, Tim. We haven't agreed on anything yet today, but I'll agree with you here. The Wood's a strong race, and I'm glad to see it. I've always been a big fan of that race and never have run in it because I always end up in the Bluegrass. But it's a good field, and you can see a Derby winner coming out of the Wood for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Well, the last horse to win both, of course, Fusaichi Pegasus back in 2000. We're going to talk more about the Wood later in the show because this is the final year that the Wood is going to be held at Aqueduct before moving to its new home at Belmont Park. How appropriate, how fitting would it be if this was the year that we had it happen again, where we had the winner of the Wood come back and win the Kentucky Derby?
That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
And it's interesting with, the fact that the Iron Honor, who's 5-2 on the morning line, he's another one that, from the Chad Brown barn, he wasn't considered really his top stringer either, because he had Paladin, who's hurt, and Canaletto, who he was very high on too. This is it'd be a good story for Chad Brown, if he was able to get with his third stringer, get a horse as a major player in the Kentucky Derby. And this horse has some talent.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He'll have to overcome that outside post position. Yeah. We'll see if he can do it. Of course, Napoleon Solo has to overcome the rail. So a lot of questions to be answered in that Wood Memorial, but it does look like a strong group. By the way, historically, the Bluegrass has produced 23 Kentucky Derby winners, the Wood 20, and the Santa Anita Derby 19. We'll see which one can add to that total, if any of those three can add to that total this afternoon. But should be a wonderful day of racing coast to coast. Tom in St. Louis, guys, has a question about next weekend's Lexington Stakes. And that's the only race remaining after today's 3 points races. The race will offer 20 points to the winner next week, and Tom wants to know if those points should be doubled to award a late-developing 3-year-old who competes in that race. Dale, what do you think?
I don't know. That's always everybody's last chance to grab a few points to try to make it in. I mean, it'd probably be a good idea to double the points. Charismatic's the last one I can remember that ran in at 1, and, they usually aren't a major player because they're scrambling late just to get enough to get in, but might not be a bad idea. I don't think that a lot of guys plan to run there to prep, that being their last prep for the Kentucky Derby. I think that's why it has less points, and it's just kind of a last chance to pick up a few if you're on the border.
Well, I don't think they should add more points to it because, like Dale just said, I mean, you don't see a lot of horses come out of the Lexington and go to Louisville 3 weeks later. And as we all know, trainers are not wild about a 3-week turnaround, even though back in the old days it was pretty common. People are looking at between 4 to 6 now.
Used to be 2, didn't it, Tim? Wasn't it 2 weeks from the Lexington to the Derby?
I think you may be right. Charismatic was the only horse to, like Dale said, to win the Lexington and then win the Kentucky Derby back in '99. The only other horse that has won the Derby since 1980 that was in the Lexington was Swale in '84. He was second. So, that's the horses. They don't point to the Kentucky Derby. It seems it's. I think in the last 20 years, I'm not saying I think, I know, I looked it up. In the last 20 years, there's been 9 horses that have come out of the Lexington that have run in the Kentucky Derby, and 3 of them were in 2005. So it's not people maybe, look towards the Preakness, maybe the Belmont after the Lexington, get a race in them. I just don't see it as a viable Derby prep because there's just not enough time between the 2 races.
Dale, is 3 weeks too short of a time to get you into to prep for the Kentucky Derby if you're running a prep race 3 weeks before?
It probably makes it difficult, but it could be done, I guess. You know what they might do is just take the points off altogether. I mean, it's such a non-factor. It has been over the years. And like I said, no, you can put as many points as you want. It's not going to be the ideal spot for people to point to go to. It's usually a catch-up spot.
Boy, how times have changed, huh?
Yeah, they really have. I don't know why. I really don't understand why.
Dale, it's not a race then that you put on the schedule saying this is a race I'm going to put on my horse's schedule to get to the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, that's not it at all. You
don't start there and work your way back for your horse's preps for the Derby. No, that's usually an afterthought. Like you said, could be a good springboard onto the Preakness.
Dale, what things would you need to see in a horse going into the Kentucky Derby to let you know that horse was ready to go 1.25 miles off of just 3 weeks rest?
They just have to bounce out of it in good shape and go right back to the eating good and back to training good quickly. And I mean, it can be done. I mean, we look at a 2-week turnaround from the Derby to the Preakness. So, right. But if you are a major contender and you run 3 weeks out, then you run the Derby, then you're 2 weeks back to the Preakness, and you're 3 weeks back to the Belmont. It's a lot of racing in a short period of time.
But trainers don't like to run in the Preakness if they don't have to. If you don't win the Derby, you're not going to the Preakness usually.
That's been happening a lot lately, for sure. It's a shame.
That'll be a topic on the show when we get closer to the Middle Jewel. And I think now the Lexington Stakes has become more of that Preakness stepping stone than a Kentucky Derby stepping stone.
No doubt. I think it is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, we'll see. And, Tom, we appreciate the question. If you have a question for Dale and Tim, we will remind you once again, all you have to do is email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. We'll get it worked in for you, or you can post your question on our social media pages, and we will do our best to get those questions involved in the show going forward. Guys, time to say hello once again to our good friend Nick Zito, and you get to tell me if the following statements are right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
All right, we're going to have some fun in this segment here this morning. This is an Easter edition. With Easter Sunday coming up tomorrow, we're going to play Easter Sunday, right or wrong. And I have several topics for you. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. Timmy, is it right or wrong to eat the ears first on your chocolate Easter bunny?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
It's absolutely right. That's the only way to do it. The ears are the easiest part of the bunny to eat. I mean, the only other choice would be the leg, the feet, and that's kind of cumbersome at the bottom, or the tail. The only thing that kind of stinks is if it's a hollow Easter bunny, and then you just kind of make a mess of things when you bite into it and the chocolate goes all over the place. But, Dale will be proud of me, the fact that I did do some research on this, and 78% of people chew on the ears.
I haven't eaten an Easter bunny in 150 pounds, but eat the ear. Who cares? Next question.
You like the solid ones or the hollow ones, Dale?
I don't like any of them.
It's got to be the solid ones.
Wow.
So go. If you're going to eat something, eat something solid.
All right, how about this one? Red is considered the most popular jelly bean color, but I say the green ones taste the best. Am I right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Dale, what do you think?
I wouldn't eat a jelly bean even when I was fat. Don't like jelly beans, any of them. Doesn't matter what color they are. They're all nasty.
I always thought all jelly beans tasted the same. I'm not a big jelly bean guy. I just thought that it's not like, is it actually like a fruit flavor? I mean, Mike, maybe you know more than I. You say you like the green ones better. Is there actually like a fruity taste to it?
Yeah, they're more of a minty type of taste.
Well, I can honestly say that I'm not a jelly bean kind of guy, and I don't really care.
All right. Well, how about this one then, Tim? Eating dyed Easter eggs after they've been dyed is disgusting. Right or wrong?
No.
What do you think?
That's
right or wrong?
That's wrong. I mean, because you peel the egg. It's not like, I remember as a kid, you peel the egg, and it's not like there was, unless you really screwed it up, there wasn't like dye that blended into the egg. I think it's just like peeling an egg that just has a colored shell on it. I think there's absolutely no problem with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with that. I'd eat it no matter what. But, Easter eggs, or Easter basket, the only thing I like were the malted milk ball eggs. That's all I would eat. My kids never got those because I ate them before we put the basket up.
Like the Cadbury eggs?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So you'd eat them before you hid them?
No, before their basket, when Tammy'd have all the stuff to put in their baskets, and I would eat those eggs, keep them for myself. So they got the chocolate bunny and all that other garbage.
So the kids wouldn't even know that they had those eggs in the first place?
No, but Tammy would get pretty mad at me.
Dale, did you ever have an Easter egg hunt for the kids?
Oh, yeah, we did all that stuff. It's fun. I like all holidays. Kids come around, we'd have have a lot of fun. Now, holidays aren't near as fun when the kids grow up, but I got a new grandson coming. I can't wait till he's ready to enjoy the holidays.
You're gonna so I guess he won't get any of those eggs either, huh?
For him, I think I like him more than my kids. He might get them. Everybody talks about what it's like to be a grandparent, but you don't know until you have one.
How old is he now?
He's 5 months.
Oh, he's growing like a weed already.
Yeah, he is.
Get him a chocolate
Starting
Easter
to smile
bunny.
at me.
Get him a chocolate Easter bunny. He's ready for that first one. Dale, how about this one? Peeps are delicious, right or wrong?
Wrong. Play the horns, Lee. That's an awful question. They're terrible. I didn't think anybody ever eats those things.
I agree 100% on those things. Those are gross as hell.
Yeah, I don't like them either. I just had to try to lead you guys into it. I
didn't even know they were candy. I thought they were just like little chickens that were like dolls or something. I didn't know they were edible. I would never touch one of those.
Does anybody eat that any other time of year? Whatever that is that they shape into the...
It's all
rabbit?
Sugar. It's like shaped like a little chick.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all sugar. It's bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Okay, one more for you. And this one comes courtesy of my dear friend Tim Wilkin here. Tim wants to know, more colorful character, is it the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus? Tim, I'm going to tell you, I say the Easter Bunny any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Right or wrong?
Wrong. And I'll tell you why.
Really?
I'll tell you why. Santa Claus has reindeer to cart him around. He's got elves to do all his work for him. The poor Easter Bunny, he's got to walk all over every town he goes into, and I don't know how he does it, but he hops. Yeah, how's
down
he
the bunny
into the
trail.
house?
He hops down the bunny trail, Tim.
Yeah, but he doesn't have no help. He's got there's something. I think there's something very sinister about the Easter Bunny, to tell you the truth. And I think that the way that Santa Claus has it down with the sleigh and he's able to move around better. Easter Bunny has no shot to get all this stuff done in one night. No shot, unless there's about 1 million of them.
Yeah, they're both pretty creepy if you think about it. I don't even want them sneaking into my house at night. But right, I told my Santa Claus, I like Santa Claus, so I told my Santa Claus story before, I think. We were at Breeders' Cup one year, and the Uber driver taking us to one of the parties back when I was drinking showed up with a big white beard, and he's a fat guy. I said, you look like Santa. He said, you don't know how much money I make dressing up. I'm getting ready. I grew my beard out. So I told him, I said, you pick us up on this spot after this party. I'm going to call you. And if you're in full Santa Claus suit, you get an extra $100. And he picked us up in full Santa Claus suit, ended up going to Whataburger with us and hanging out at the bar. I had Santa with me all night. It was a lot of fun.
Was this Christmas Eve?
No, it was during Breeders' Cup.
Oh, it was during Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, he was getting ready. He was prepping his beard and everything. I said, you come in your whole costume and you get extra. And he stayed with us all night. He had dinner with us. He sat at the bar with us. He was ho-ho-hoing all night. I don't know how.
So he was a real Santa Claus? I mean, that's what he did?
Yeah, that's what he did during December.
Damn.
He had the suit and everything. So we were at the bar of the Hilton across the street from Del Mar with Santa Claus all night.
Was it a pretty good Santa outfit?
He was a good one. He had a good ho-ho-ho, too. By the end of the night, it was real loud. He had to call an Uber driver to get home.
I'm still taking the Easter Bunny.
All right, you take the Easter Bunny.
True story. When we were kids, myself, my brother, my sister, we would often, almost every single year, my dad loved rabbits. He loved raising rabbits, and we would get a new pet bunny every Easter. So, I'm a huge fan of bunnies because of that. You know the white ones with the red eyes? Remember those?
They're good in a crock pot.
I knew you were going to say that, Dale.
Yeah.
Fatal Attraction.
In Kentucky, that's what goes in our bargoo. We'll throw that in a bargoo.
No, you don't eat rabbit, do you?
Yeah, we do. Rabbit's good. It's a little stringy, but it's good.
Good. All right, we start talking about murdering bunnies, we have to move on. That just breaks my heart. All right, one more topic, guys. Aqueduct is going to host the Historic Wood Memorial for the final time this afternoon. So I thought it would be appropriate to share some of our favorite Wood Memorial memories. Guys, what do you got? I actually pulled race clips of some of my favorites and some of your favorites, but we're running out of time, so we won't have time to play them. Timmy, how about for you? What's your favorite Wood Memorial?
My favorite Wood Memorial is 2005 with our good friend Nicholas P. Zito when Bellamy Road romped to a 17.5 length win and ran set the stakes record. And it was one of Nicky's best training jobs. He did it for George Steinbrenner. They went to the Kentucky Derby as the favorite. They didn't do as well there. They finished 7th. But what a dominating performance that was in the 2005 Wood when he beat 6 others. I mean, I can still see Bellamy Road coming down the stretch and just widening in every stride. It was one of the most breathtaking races I ever saw at Aqueduct.
Dale?
Yeah, I'm going with I Want Revenge. What year was that, Timmy? You remember? I Want Revenge.
I think that was 2009, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. 2009. Anybody who hasn't seen that race should go back and watch it. I mean, he stumbles so bad out of the gate as a favorite. Looks like he has no chance. He's blocked in traffic, gets out and runs away with it, and comes into the Derby as the favorite and end up having a scratch Derby morning. But that was as an impressive of a race. That race actually cost me a lot of money because I bought 2 or 3 of his babies with the first year just off that race, and he ended up being a bad sire.
Both of those were fantastic choices. I went with Fupeg in 2000, the last horse to win both the Wood and the Kentucky Derby, but his win in the Wood was sensational. Tom Durkin had that great call. You remember he beat Red Bullet and Aptitude that day, who turned out to be pretty darn good in their own right.
That was a good race.
Yeah. And when Bellamy Road went to that Derby, remember who beat him was Giacomo at 50-1 for the late, great John Sheriffs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, what a great memories, and I'm sure we could share so many more. Nick Zito was with me earlier in the program talking about his favorite memories of the Wood, and nobody better to do that than Nick Zito, and of course the trainer of Timmy's Choice, Bellamy Road in 2005. Guys, we've got to wrap up the show as we do every week. We do it with our West Point of the Week, which is presented by our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, and I remind you that owning a racehorse with West Point is a lifestyle investment for your entire family. It's a smart, fun way for new owners to enjoy being an instant insider and access the major leagues of racing for a fraction of the cost of doing it alone. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Timmy, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm very intrigued on Wood Memorial Day today, to see the return of Bookham Dano. He's the even money morning line favorite in the Grade 2 Carter. It's his first start since the 4 ago last summer at Saratoga, which was 224 days ago. He's won 10 of 16 career starts. I want to see if he's still got it, and I think he might.
He's a good horse. He's always been one of your favorites, we know. I just want to say, today is the official kickoff of horse racing, in my opinion. Bluegrass Day at Keeneland, great day. This is when racing really gets serious, and we have a lot of fun over the summer. It's going to be a good summer.
Our producer Lee Delapina right on it, guys. He said green jelly beans are not mint. What the heck? I don't know. They taste minty to me. He also said it's a marshmallow when we're talking about the Peeps. He wants to know what the hell's wrong with you guys. You didn't know that?
It's still all
that's
sugar.
That's why they're so terrible. Marshmallows are only good in hot chocolate.
That's right.
Guys, enjoy the weekend. The kickoff to the racing season, as Dale says. We're going to do this all over again next Saturday. Had a lot of fun.
All right, guys, next week.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, email the show or post it on our social media pages. We'll do our best to work it in. I Ask the Answer is presented every week by the University of Louisville, Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. I'm back with more, including the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. That's next on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Here we go. Come on, boys.
Good luck. And they're off. Be part of the story. Own the moment. Go to MojoRacingPartners.com to get your mojo working.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is so innovative, it not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals who serve them with access to the latest technologies and remarkable benefits. Transform your future at vacareers.va.gov.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson, and as the daughter of a school teacher, I know just how important education is. No matter how old you are or your situation, continuing to learn will enrich your life and help remove barriers you didn't even know were there. So much opportunity, y'all. Whether it's a foreign language, history, or a different way to look at things, take some time each day to learn something new. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
The Blood Horse Daily is your free newsletter to keep you up with the latest headlines on thoroughbred racing and breeding news. It's also delivered straight to your inbox every evening, or you can download the Blood Horse Daily app for iOS and Android, all for free, and receive breaking news push notifications. Sign up today at bloodhorse.com/daily. Lee Delapina has the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. Lee?
Thank you, Mike. Who was the first ever horse to win both the Bluegrass Stakes and the Kentucky Derby? That was a horse named Bubbling Over in 1926. Thanks to Mojo Racing Partners for this week's Impossible Trivia question. Get your mojo working at mojoracingpartners.com.
All right, did you get it right? I hope you did. We're back with another Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question next Saturday here on the Equine Forum. Whew, catch your breath. That was a busy 3 hours, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed it, getting a chance to hear from some Hall of Famers like Nick Zito and Bob Baffert and Chad Brown. Of course, my dear friend Kurt Becker, part of the program as well, getting ready for opening weekend of Keeneland. His Stroll Through Racing History was fantastic, too. My thanks to Joe Kristufek for the TwinSpires Triple play, Dale and Tim in the previous segment with I Ask, They Answer. If you missed any portion of today's show, you know what to do. Check out the podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you get your podcast. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios, to Chauncey for handling all of our social media, and to each of you for tuning in to the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. I'm Mike Penna. Go Steelers.